Good night, ladies and gentlemen, sisters, reverend fathers, mothers and expectant mothers and all the other things. I hope you're all enjoying the festival in Carrigallen. This is the final night, and I'm sure you'll agree that the local committee have put in a tremendous amount of work in preparing for all of you to enjoy yourselves. It's great to see a full house in the theatre here. This programme is to pay tribute to a member of the parish here in Carrigallen, somebody who lives in Carrigallen parish. But also it is a night for people to enjoy, and I understand that the gentleman, or is it a lady, I suppose last year we had a gentleman here, if you remember, Cathal Sheridan was sitting in the audience thinking it was somebody else and he got the shivers. Those of you who are here will remember all that. I understand that the person we're looking for tonight has arrived eventually. There was a bit of a hold up there while we were waiting for him, so we're ready to start the show. It's very difficult to see with the very strong lights here, so I'm going to have to move through the audience. I know a number of you are wondering, is it me? A lot of you are dressed up specially. You see Francie Murray has a new shirt on. And John Joe Dolan, who played with the Leitrim Miners, is in the front row. Sorry to disappoint you, John Joe. Back in 1945, right? Plenty of you are, and you'll all be a little bit jealous, and I see Sean Connolly up there. Well, an awful lot of faces there. I see a full back from the senior championship, who played such a great game in the championship. He's one that will be Garth Owen's turn this year. I'm just going to take a walk around, and I'm trying to pick out the person that we have selected. The committee has, and Kevin Lunny, of course, there all primed up. Hard luck, Lunny, hard luck. You'll have to dress yourself up again next year. Right, we'll have a look around then, and as I walk up here, you can all be shivering. And I'd like to welcome somebody here, that I just see him here in front of me. That's Jimmy McGarty. Delighted to see him here. I'll start shivering now. Then you get no suit on you, so it can't be you. And we have the chairman of the County Council here. Isn't it great that Carrigallen man is the present chairman of the Leitrim County Council, Mr. Tommy Moran. Would you give me a And of course his wife Mary. And Tommy's beginning to wonder, will he be coming back down again to me? Not fairly prior from you're not from the parish, Fairly, I'm sorry. And Rosalie, all the way from Kuwait, isn't it? All right. Well, look at Gus, would you? Hard luck, Gus. Hard luck, Gus. And Josie Creamer is up there. Well, I can't see the person at all. I'll have to walk across this way. And Shamey Mac. I think it's down the far side here. Now we're going. There we are. I'm sorry, you don't know him very well. Sorry, I'll have to come back again. Because I was talking to this gentleman last night in the golf club in Ballinamore about Tommy McCartan being chosen for This Is Your Life tonight. And I'm delighted to say to Gus Ward, this is your life. We'll give Gus a minute to compose himself here. Sit down here now, you're the centre of attention. hope you're not nervous on this stage, you're not used to it yet. Well, I'm sure you'll all agree it's a very, very popular choice, because Gus has been working so hard for Carrigallen over a long number of years, and Gus, I suppose we could describe you in many, many ways. I wrote down a few of them.
No doubt you did.
An actor, producer, footballer, a long time ago, a hurler, a great community worker, a great singer, and Shanachie. He's an organiser, an award winner, a bit of a glamour boy. Back in the 50s and 60s, he was a lover boy. A Department of Agriculture official, although I don't think anybody in Carrigallen that we talked to, nobody ever actually saw him working anywhere. But I understand he has a job. But most of all, he's a marvellous husband and father. And Gus, while you'll be meeting a lot of your friends here tonight, basically this show is to honour you for some of the work that you've done since your arrival in Carrigallen many, many years ago. So we'll ask for a nice round of applause for Gus Ward. Now we'll just have an interval of about a half a minute. I'm after knocking the air out of my glasses and I'll have to put them on to read the rest of it. And Gus, will you be adjusting that microphone there, and I have to put away this mic. And Tony Farley should bring on stage to meet you tonight is a lady who dressed herself up tonight. She didn't go to an awful lot of trouble in dressing you, because although I noticed the t-shirt and the socks are matching all the time. Can you see that? And I suppose the shirt matches the hair and the more than But he's not looking too bad. Una Ward, will you come down and meet your husband, please? That was a sort of a peck on the cheek, not as sexy as it used to be. I saw you doing better around Wonderland. Actually, when we mention Wonderland, it's appropriate we should mention it because many of the people in the audience here will remember dancing in Cloudland and Wonderland and the Longford Arms, and dancing to the Mighty Avens and the Clipper Carlton and so on and so forth. But actually it was in the Granada, and lots of people here would have gone to the Granada in Granard, that a lassie called Una Fitzsimons went there on the lookout one night. And she saw this hunk. Actually, she thought he was a guard. He was so tall and straight and, you know, he had a bit of a dash. And what she noticed about him, he had a white hanky in his breast pocket, you know, at a time when most fellas, you know, wouldn't have had a hanky, like. He was extremely well dressed, and eventually, anyway, she kind of sidled up to him, and before the night was over, she managed to get a dance with him, and he bought her a lemonade and put her on the bar of the bike and brought her home. And sometimes after that, they decided to get married. Well, Una, we'll have to have a word with you. Can you speak into that mic for a minute? And I'm sure what everybody is wondering, what was it that attracted you?
The wavy hair, Tommy.
The wavy hair?
It was forever combed. It just still is.
And still is. Is that all? Just the hair?
Money.
He was a fine little thing, but he was struck up and down all night, so I had to take
Oh, it's not like a turkey cock. And you took pity on him?
I did.
Can you remember that first night?
Very much so. 21st of April, 1968.
Oh boy. 21st of April 1968. Did he behave himself?
Ah, yeah, very well.
He was a gentleman.
He was a gentleman.
You didn't mist up the windows in the car, right? And I understand then you started going out immediately after. It was instant romance, and twice a week. Wednesdays and Sundays. So it was like taking medicine, you know, twice a week. And of course, what Una didn't know, there was on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday and Friday, Ward was after other women. Wednesday nights?
The pictures.
To the pictures?
Yes.
In Oldcastle? Why did you go to Oldcastle? There was a picture house in Ballyconnell.
The nearest one to me, you see.
Where were you living at?
Kogi.
On Kilcogie. Right, up at the quarry. Oh, that's right. Gus used to tell me about reversing the car in at the back of the quarry after the pictures. And I believe he had a passion for black grapes. Any of you that was ever in hospital, you know that people bring in a pound of grapes in and they ate them all before they go home. It was the same with Gus. He used to buy black grapes and put them on Una's lap and he'd be nibbling away at them all night. Isn't that right?
That's true. That's true. Every one of them, because, you know, if I got two out of the whole bag,
Oh, my God. And 6 weeks after you met him, he was, at the time he was playing hurling with Leitrim and he got injured. And if you remember, he had to go off to St. Vincent's. And the thing that I'm sure will impress you all is that while Gus was in St. Vincent's Hospital for almost 3 months, he wrote to Una Fitzsimons every day. Saying, oh. And the hooer, he wouldn't buy a writing pad. Remember the little notebooks you could get? Little skinny notebooks. Am I right? 16 pages of that he used to write. As all of the fit, I hope will be on one page. You are on the next page. But he wrote to her every day from the hospital. Anyway, they got married. When did you get married?
the 24th of October 1970.
24th of October 1970. Where did you go on the honeymoon?
Jersey Islands.
Oh, to the Jersey Islands. Did Gus go topless? He did, in the Jersey.
That was the weather, Tommy Moran.
Oh, not in October. Anyway, you got married, and I suppose it's a great, we'd have to say it's a marvellous thing that you didn't settle in Kilcogie or in Granard or in Oldcastle, that you actually came back here to Carrigallen, because Gus has made it, and Una, both of you have added a tremendous amount to the parish here since you came to live here, and with your family, and we're delighted now that I have the 3 members of your family here. We have Brian, Ronan and Orna coming in to say hello to Dad. Brian is studying in Maynooth at the moment. He's studying a master's degree in Greek and Roman civilization. Ronan is a graphic designer with Abiset in Cavan, and Orna is a nurse in St. James Hospital in Dublin, and also studying, I understand, in St. Luke's. So the 3 of them are doing very well, and I suppose when you look at them you say that the picture of the father. The pair of boys are, and you think Una or Orna is good looking, she took after the mother. Will some of you tell us about Daddy? Who's going to talk?
I'll do a bit talk.
Good man. Good man. Ronan's going to tell us about Daddy.
Well, I'll tell you what the type of a daddy is, basically. I suppose he's not too bad. Could get worse. Well, if you take any faults out, he's a great chef.
A chef?
Chef, oh yes, master chef. Boiled eggs.
And the microwave.
Oh, he'd be good behind that as well. I think Mammy's mentioned already about him combing his hair a lot. I think there isn't a bedroom or a room in the house that hasn't got a mirror in it. And he has a certain technique when he's combing his hair.
Could you show us?
In the bathroom. Everybody knows the usual sink set up with the mirror in front. Well, Gus has this little side mirror that he comes on his hand. So he stands sort of very well. The comb is in the hand here, and he grabs it. And he's trying to position it right so he can get the back of the hair. So he's looking into it and seeing himself in this mirror and just he's walking in.
You have to say that it works, in fairness, don't you? Brian, would you say something about
One
Pop?
of the things that I talk about is a session with Claire Hurling. I was wondering how far he'd go to actually go and get tickets for the All-Ireland semi-final. I have a letter here that I wrote. Well, it's signed by me. It talks about my father writing into the Fan of the Week in the Sports Department in the Irish Independent. Now, there's a competition they have every Thursday where the winner, who's the Fan of the Week for whatever county, is given 2 free tickets to their next match. So there's a letter here that says, my father, Gus Ward, he's been one of Clare's greatest fans. And it talks about him living in the border area and travelling to all the matches that Clare played in from 1955 onwards, and how he never misses a match. And how I'd like to recommend him to be the Fan of the Week. Which is very good, except it's in my father's handwriting. He only showed it to me after he posted the original copy away. Unfortunately, he wasn't elected Fan of the Week this week.
Ronan, you have to say something about your dad now. Will you put down the microphone, Brian, there, please?
Well, I just hope I haven't got his cooking talents, because Ronan said already we lived on boiled eggs, so whenever anyone was away, we had them for breakfast, dinner and tea, and we'd practically name them by the time she went. Part of that, I suppose his colour coordination is quite famous for that. I was asked those times when we're down, do we keep buying them Christmas sets, matching ties and socks and handkerchiefs, but I don't think it's rubbed off on the boys yet. They haven't quite got the yellow socks. So. For that, I know he's the best.
Thank you very much. Sit down beside your parents there and enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks very much to the 3 members of the family. As I said, thank you. As I said earlier, it was fortunate that Gus and Una decided to live in Carrigallen. Originally they were in Eru. I suppose you could call that out in the country. That was their country home beside the graveyard in Eru, and then they moved to Suburbia just up the road there. And but someone who remembers your wedding very, very well, and there's good reason to remember it, I suppose, Gus, is your best man, your brother Joe Ward, who has travelled up from Cracklow, your groomsman, another brother Frank Ward, who has come from Limerick, and Joe's wife Kitty. Give a nice welcome, please. Sorry, I didn't realise Frank's wife was coming on. Joe, how are you?
How do you do, Tommy? How do you do?
You're very, very welcome to Carrigallen.
Thank you very much.
You're not half as famous as your brother.
No, I'm
Would you go over to that microphone because I want you to say something about it? I understand.
I can see he's enjoying every moment of it, Tommy.
Oh, he loves it.
He loves it, yeah.
And he was mad, he talked to Tommy McCartney and he was mad jealous. So I was talking to him last night. So he said, well, I think he says I should do me, he said, you know. I said, maybe next year or the year after. Not really, Gus is very humble in his own way. I understand his proper name is Augustine Francis.
Oh, yes, very, very posh.
Called after 2 saints.
That's right, that's right.
St. Augustine, he was a bit of a lad when he was young anyway. And St. Francis, I suppose St. Francis of Assisi. I have a name here, Mohar Bulo, would that be right?
Mohar Bullock, that's what
Mohar Bullock.
I mean, Mohar Bullock.
Tell us about Mohar Bullo.
That's right, Mohar Bullock, yeah. And the
Is that a townland or a disease?
Sorry, Tommy, I didn't catch that.
Is that a townland or a disease? I said.
Oh, a disease townland.
Tell us about it anyway, tell us about your brother.
Well, I suppose Gus is best known in Carrigallen for his drama and his appearances on stage. And I think that happened at a very young age, because when I was about 7 years of age, I remember Lord Mercy, my mother and father used to go out to an odd dance. We were quite young. Gus would have been maybe 10, and the rest was steps and stairs down along. But when my mother and father would be going out, they were still young at the time, Lord Mercy, and there would be babysitter left minding us. And when there was no television, of course, in Mohar at that time, not in any other part of Ireland either. But anyway, we do a play. Gus's idea. I remember we had 2 big rugs that were used on the sidecar, and the 2 rugs would be put across the line, across the big country kitchen, and tied very carefully by Gus with safety pins, so that they'd move nice and even, you know, like fine curtains. Yeah, so Gus, of course, would script this play, he'd direct it, produce it, and pull the curtains, and then we'd all have to do our parts, and we won't be tired as if we didn't know our lines. which this play would be put on inside the country kitchen. And sometimes then, oh yes, as time went on, of course, he got more posh and that, and he decided we'd do lighting. But I remember one night, we had just one white, in the country kitchen, and one white bulb in the middle of the ceiling. So Gus got some crepe paper, red crepe paper, and tied it around the bulb to give us some effective lighting. So the show was going on grand, and the next thing we spent the burning. Paper got fired, and we nearly burned the house. That was one of his early performances. I remember another time actually after we made his circus in Corofin. He decided we'd have a variety show, so he introduced the great Mendoza, who was me at 7 years of age, and I was the tight rope walker. So the great Mendoza anyway was requested with two soak-on chairs in the middle of the stage, which was the kitchen floor, and the handle of a brush across between the two chairs. And the great Mendoza was rigged up with his dad's pyjamas and a t-shirt and a pair of socks. And there I was, and I had to walk across the handle of the brush between the two chairs. I was frightened out of my wits, but I had to go ahead because he was the producer and the show had to go on. So off was the great Mendoza across the handle of the brush until I got to the middle. Then the brush snapped and the great Mendoza landed in the middle of the show. That was the middle of the show.
Joe, you can see that Gus still is using plenty of lighting and coloured lighting, and he's still here producing, so he hasn't changed very much since he was about.
No, he hasn't changed. I think, you know, he thought he had a divine right to be on the stage. Because one of the first times I ever went to the local hall in Corofin was a matinee on a Sunday, and a man by the name of Michael Conway, who Gus knows, and England for a good many years, and Gus in fact brought me as I was a 6-year-old to the show. But the funny thing about that was that we lived about 4 miles outside Corofin, and Corofin would be, they would be the townies, we'd be Woodshire, and you know, we'd be from the country, we wouldn't be...
And the buffs.
Oh yes, exactly, yeah. But I remember at one stage in the proceedings anyway, there was a magician on stage, and he requested someone to go on stage with him. And now the Corofin lads weren't slow to exhibit themselves, they'd be up like the flesh. But himself beat him on to the stage, up to the magician. And all I can remember about the rest of it is that he just stood there, delighted himself being on the stage, while the magician pulled sausages and rashers and everything up from underneath his clothes. So, as I say, he felt he had a divine right to be on the stage.
And did he have? Right, can we get a word with you? I have a word with Frank, you're the other.
Sorry. Thanks, Tommy.
Thanks very much, Joe. Thank you. Well, Gus, as we said, oh, by the way, in case you'd like to know what age Gus is, he was born on the 27th of August, anybody guess? Come on, is there anybody there in the audience? 40, Pat.
46.
46, no, better.
1942.
No, God, he's not that young.
48.
No, I'd have to go back to the other previous day. 39. 39. He must have been in the start of the Second World War. The First World War. The Second World War, wasn't it, Gus? And the lady who brought you into the world was a midwife called Madeline Riley. I'm sure you remember her. Okay? He even remembers the midwife. There's where it's marked. Well, Frank, we got some news from Moherbulo that Gus's grooming habits started when he was very early, because I understand there's a family photograph that shows him brushing his hair when he was only a year old. And he was very fond of Gibbs toothpaste. He used to rinse his teeth at the white stand, at the wash stand, in the corner of the kitchen. Do you remember that, Gus? And his late mother said he had the tin bath nearly worn out. He was about the only man in Clare that took a bath in the 1940s. What can you remember about him, Frank?
Yeah, well, he was always easy to get on with when we were growing up, but he was, of course, even though he was only a year older than myself, he was about a foot taller. He always got the better side of things, of course. We had a country shop at home, and we used to have a hen cart for rolling out bags of meal and half sacks of flour.
Yeah.
Back in the 40s and the 50s. And we used to use this as There's a horse and car as well, but I was always the horse. Sitting in the handcart, driving me. I suppose that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't grow.
Well, maybe you'll be able to get your own back on it now.
Yeah, it's a bit late now.
Well, when you mentioned it, I understand that his teacher, Mary Me Hogan, I used to call him, or give out to him because he was always late for school.
That's right.
Now, we mentioned about he works hard. He's not really a morning person. That's one thing we'd have to say about
I can
him.
remember at one time, not especially my father, he wanted him to, go to the meadow and save hay or something like that, but he wasn't anxious to go, but I remember him telling him distinctly, you better sleep with the books, he says.
Wasn't a lot of good in the meadow. Well, thanks very much, Frank, and thanks to the two gentlemen and the wives for coming. Thank you very much. Well, now, Una, we're beginning to hear a little bit more about your beloved husband, and I'm sure that you think that you were the first person in Carrigallen to sleep with him. Do you think that? Well, you weren't now. There was somebody in Carrigallen slept with him before you came along. And we're delighted that we have that person here tonight. But I don't want you getting any wrong ideas. Will you bring in Alfie Hart? When Gus arrived in Carrigallen, he stayed in Hart for some time. I understand you had a very cold room called Siberia.
I'm getting a very bad press here tonight.
Now it would have improved since, of course.
Oh, naturally, yeah. Oh, I mean my personal...
But you slept with Gus?
I slept with Gus, definitely, indeed. Yes, I remember when Gus came to Carrigallen, I was, I think, one of his first friends in Carrigallen. And he was, a young man about town, and he came in a bad old Volkswagen when he came. But it was no time until Phil Brady supplied him with a brand new green Volkswagen. And it was very unfortunate for Gus that just around the days that he got the car, he got his kneecap remodeled in a hurling game. And of course, one thing you will not do when the doctors are trying to fix your knee is drive a car. And I put Gus's car away and the new car away in the shed. And it lay there for months and months. And it was a great disappointment indeed. But I used to marvel at this fellow. He came to Leitrim, and then just all of a sudden he's playing senior hurling for Leitrim. And I remember saying it to him one day, it isn't amazing how you get on with this hurling thing. And of course, Gus was a very modest man at that time, not like now. You have to get my own back, And he said, well, he said, Alfie, I'll never forget it. He said, any man that ever come to Leitrim with a hurley strapped to a suitcase, he was always an automatic choice for the senior county team. We had some great early nights, and in those years as well. Of course, we were unmarried at the time, and there was one great incident. The big social event of the year in Carrigallen at that time was the fancy dress. Easter, what do you call it? Shrove Tuesday night. The fancy dress in Carrigallen, and this year we won it. And who was it? Myself and Gus. And was it Jimmy McGarty, or was it
Jim Ward?
Or was it Adrian McManus?
Adrian and Jim Ward.
Oh, it was Adrian and Jim, but the four of us in it, the five had to split 4 ways. We won the fancy dress at the site anyway, and the prize was a £5. It was a fair bit of money at the time. And for the purpose of the fancy dress, we had to borrow a bowler hat from Adam Brewster, which any other hat would have done, but we knew that Adam had a bowler. Of course, we had to have the bowler. And I remember Gus and myself were sleeping in the same room at the time, and the winning of the fiver and the divvying up of a fiver, that's £1.05. That's 25 shillings each, which induced the purchase of an enormous amount of bottles of stout in my father's old bar up the street. And we had a whale of a night on it. And I remember waking up the next morning, and there was Gus in the bed, spaced out, and he had Alan Brewster's bowler house. He looked reasonably comfortable. I think I'd say he was the only man that ever slept with a bowler hat in his head.
Probably the only man that ever slept with you. Nice, very good man. I'll take that. And there was another house you stayed in Carrigallen, Gus, and unfortunately the husband and wife are away tonight, but I send their very best wishes to you. That's Peter Donoghue and his wife Philomena, who looked after you very well, I'm sure you'll agree, shortly after you came to Carrigallen. Well, indeed, you became a household name very early on in the 60s after Carrigallen took to the drama festivals and so on. And one place that you were always anxious to go to was a lovely village in Galway called Glenamaddy. And we're delighted that we have two members representing the festival committee here tonight. We have Anne C. Malloy, I'm sure who you remember, the secretary, and Margaret Keaveney. And the two ladies are... No, Sean's unable to come tonight. Just the two ladies, I think, are able to come tonight. Anne C. Malloy, Anne C. Malloy. And Margaret Keaveney. And I understand, you have a card for us as well. Well, there's a message in this card, Gus. Best wishes from John L. Garvey, I'm sure you remember John L., who doesn't know John L., and the committee. And I have a small gift for you from the Glenamaddy Festival. What sort of a gift? Oh, did you give it to him already? Well, you've got it, that's lovely. And Sean Garvey sends a message to you, Gus. He said, congratulations, and it's good enough for you to get caught. And here he is, Sean Garvey from the Glenamaddy. Many of you will know Sean's voice when he starts to talk, because I'm sure you listen to the household programmes on Shannon's side, and from Garvey's business. What would you call it? Garvey's...
Can you let me talk about Gus at all?
No, wait in a minute. Now, we want to get in the plug, and that would you give me the fibre for. They have all kinds of hardware and everything else, and they tell you how to patch a hole in the roof and all kinds of things. That's the man there. You give him a nice welcome. Sean Garvey. All the cast from Carrigallen, whoever went to Glenamaddy will remember Sean, because he was the PRO there, he did MC for the plays and in the festival club, and everybody had a great time. And if they hadn't, it certainly wasn't Sean Garvey's fault. Tell us a bit about Gus, Sean.
Well, you know, it's 30 years ago, and that's a long time ago since Gus came. At that time now his hair was slightly different to tonight. The waves were there with the colour, and also Una, the colour wasn't just like it is tonight.
Una died that, especially for me.
No more than yourself, no more than Tommy himself. I love the way he died. But I suppose we'd have to go back, Gus, to the Bugle and the Blood. That's a long time ago. 1968 maybe you might have started, but 72 was the Bugle and the Blood. And on that night we had one of the many adjudicators that Gus bought, Morris O'Doherty. He got him early on, and Gus came out with the best actor. That was the first time, I think, that he... But 1975, what was it, Gus?
Honey Spike.
The Honey Spike. Came to Glenamaddy. We talk about it as if it was only last year. That's a long time ago. A lot of people in the audience wouldn't remember it. But 1975 was historic in the fact that you came, you saw, and you conquered. You went on from there to win the All-Ireland, and it was a remarkable play that evening. And all the time, the Gus of a little bit standing back and not necessarily taking the front line. But 1985, we always, Tommy, regarded Gus as a perfectionist.
Ah, no. Yes. Well, they wouldn't think that in Carrigallen.
But in 1985, Gus left out the power and the chinist, and we had the middle part of that word. Because in 1985 was the Honey Spike, no, the Wood of the Whisper.
Wood of the Whisper.
Wood of the Whispering in 1985, and on that evening we went into a new theatre. We went into the community centre, And he was, Carrigallen were on the opening night, and unfortunately, these didn't work. And Gus made us, or left us in no uncertain terms. We left out the pair of defectionists, and we had plenty of the FEC. Remember it. That's the night that we saw another side of Gus. And you know, it's lovely. You maybe here in this year you might think that the relationship between himself and Una is like, you know, like safe and sound, and I'm sure the kids always have thought that. But I remember one night Gus came to Glenamaddy, and he came up to me and he's scratching the head and he's scratching the leg and scratching the head as he could do. And he said, "Thank God I'm not a sheik." And I said, "Chris, what's wrong? What's wrong?" He said, they weren't on speaking terms. He said, "One wife is enough for any man. If I was a sheik, I'd have 2 or 3 of them." But what about Gus and what he left behind us? Because what he left to us in Glenamaddy, in the sense that we, like you here in this community, have a theatre. And we would have to give special tribute from Glenamaddy, as I carry the message this evening, to Carrigallen as a community, and bow my head in acknowledgement and say thank you to Carrigallen and thank you to Gus for creating in our minds the aspiration and the possibility that we might have something like you. And we came here and we met Gus and we met Cathal and we surveyed and we looked and we went home and we said, why not? And that to me has been part and parcel of what Carrigallen through Gus has brought to us. And that's been very special, Gus, to us, and our sincere thanks. I'd like to mention about another aspect of Gus, Tommy. It's the aspect of the club. Whether Carrigallen won, lost or drew, they always came to the club. And Gus was always very gracious, both in his victory and defeat. And granted, he came first with a monologue called The Weisigen. Did you ever hear it? You probably know. Oh, you should ask him to do it, it's terrible. But anyhow, he did that for years, and Una, you'd see her every night saying, "We'll do something different next year, Gus. We'll do something different next year." And God knows she tried, and finally he came up with the Manchester Rambler. And we've had that now for 27 years. And I'm depending on his children, because Una has failed with him to really change his mind on that one. Or anybody else in the community that can influence him, will you try and get Brecon to Glenamaddy next year with a different song? Finally, Tommy, I'd like to say that I suppose as we see life, originally Carrigallen were the community players, and we as a community would have a certain amount of welcome for anybody with that philosophy and thinking. But to us, the community that is Carrigallen, portrayed through the players and through the absolute graciousness of the community on stage and off stage, epitomised by Gus, I would say that Gus and his team have been an absolute credit to this community. And I thank him for what he has done. I'd finally say, Gus, that as we go through life, we get our talents and we're expected not to bury them. We're expected, as you did, and incidentally, I noticed in the last 3 years, do you notice how his shoulders have gone back with this old player holding? Signal thing, no. But on a more serious note, I feel that Gus has represented something to us and in us that we would always try to be creating in ourselves. And it's that sense of being able to be free to do the best we can with what we have. And Gus, to me, is one of the men that I'm proud and honoured to know in this life, to know and to be able to say that Gus Ward, you will leave this world a better place than what you found it.
Thank you very much. Gus, we've got a message from somebody else who would love to be with you tonight, somebody who helped you indeed in the drama world, who acted in Glenamaddy and at the All-Ireland, and he's presently the producer of Glenroe. That's Tommy Moran, and he extends good wishes to you and from himself and his wife and all the Carrigallen family.
Sorry, Tommy, sorry.
Oh, don't tell me they let him in. They didn't let him in, did they? Tommy Moran. I thought we had someone on the door to block you.
Sorry, I would have dressed if I had known there was this. There was no you were involved.
No, you're not too bad. This is the man who produces Glenroe. Isn't it great to have him here in Carrigallen? You remember himself and his better-looking brother John here.
I'm away.
Come back here. Amateur drama in Ireland owes an awful lot to the McCardle brothers, and it's great to see, Tommy, that you're continuing. However, will you say something about Gus? Gus thinks he can act, and he thinks he can produce, and he thinks he knows a bit about Leitrim. Will you put a straighten about there? Tommy McCardle.
The real reason why I came here tonight, and I had to drive up from Limerick because I was working down there, and I just said I have to go and protest. And the reason is this. I mean, I've known Gus and Carrigallen for a very long time. In fact, like I remember Father Young coming to me and saying, "We're starting to play in Carrigallen, and we're sort of having problems with a very green cast, and we're not too good on sets and that. Could you ask Pete Ward, could he come over and give us a hand with the set?" So I came along with Pete to give him a hand with the set, and I remember saying to him that night, "You have a very green cast, Father. There's one actor among them, maybe, Aidan Howard." And I've seen nothing since to change my mind. But there's a green young fellow with him, Gus Ward, and Gus has been the mainstay of Carrigallen ever since. And I've just been genuinely delighted to have been associated with Gus in various ways through the years. And this is part, like every year, Gus would give me a buzz sometime and say, "You know, we're running the play this year, we're running doing such this year, we're running such tonight. Maybe you'd come and see it." And unhesitatingly, I'd say, "How much?" But I used to come and look at something. But this year, I waited for the call. I put on my answering machine every night going to bed. If it was in the office, I say, "Now, if anyone's looking for me from Carrigallen, I'll ring them back. And the call never came. So this is why I'm protesting. I'm protesting because you may say that the reason why Carrigallen won the All-Ireland this year was that I never saw them. But the real reason why they won the All-Ireland is they didn't have to have Killian McGuinness in the cast. So that's why I came along not only to protest, but to say that Gus Ward was the last decent man in Carrigallen. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. Gus. I genuinely didn't know. My wife Nancy just said to me, you know, they were looking for you from Carrigallen. There's something about Gus. There's a party for Gus or something like that. I came along thinking it was just a party. I never thought. Once I saw your head, I said to myself, "Oh, jeez." Thanks very much. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to pay tribute to Gus. His work on, I mean, this theatre in a sense is a monument to the Gus's, not only to Gus himself, but to Gus and all the Gus's of this community. all the people in this community that have worked all through the years, from very small beginnings and with great dedication, and most of all with great talent and commitment. When you go into a group, you know the quality of that group, and the quality of Carrigallen was always very, very high indeed. And that's partly due to Father Young, and partly due to all those people, Gus Ward, and even Killian McGuinness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tommy Moran. Tommy, the producer of Glenroe, travelled especially from Limerick to be here tonight. Thank you very, very much, Tommy. And I think it's an appropriate time now to introduce the 1998 All-Ireland cast. Mary Morris, Raymond Hackett, Seamus O'Rourke, Sean McIntyre and Brian Riley. The All-Ireland winners of 1998. Will you give them a round of applause? Raymond Hackett, Seamus O'Rourke, Sean McIntyre and Brian Riley. Unfortunately, because the weekend, Mary Morris is unavailable. However, she joins in paying tribute to you. Congratulations, lads, and wasn't it great to do it without Gus? I should never have done it with him. Isn't it amazing? He was producer for years and years and years. And the first year he steps back to go and win the feckin' All-Ireland. That's a queer blow to him. But to be serious, and I'm sure Killian McGuinness, the producer, and the members of the cast would acknowledge very, very much, if it weren't for the work of Frank McGlynn, the late Frank McGlynn, and Father Young, and Cathal Farley, and Gus Ward, and all the work that was done over the years, that this year's All-Ireland win was really a culmination of all the work, and very much a team effort from Carrigallen. However, Raymond Hackett, you're beside the microphone there. Will you say a word about Gus? Because I know the four of you are very, very shy, and you're not used to talking up here.
Well, I can't think of anything good to say about Gus. No, I think it's great. It's powerful to be able to be here to honour the only man in Ireland who could be standing talking to Miss Ireland, and you think Gus was better dressed. Everybody's sick and tired. I'm sure Gus is of quips like that. But personally, and I suppose I speak for everyone here, it was Gus who got me and most of us involved in the drama here. And the drama means an awful lot to us. And were it not for Gus, we wouldn't have that. But we all really feel that Gus's hand played a very large part throughout the years in the success of this year. So, well done.
Thank you very much. Brian, a word from Brian.
I'd just like to say that, Gus started me off, and he started a lot of us off, and it's because of him, as Raymond has said, that we did win the All-Ireland the year, and it was a few years hard luck on his part. We were nearly there, but not just quite. But I must say that the rehearsal part of a play is the thing that really brings people into it. And the crack that you would have, we'd say, with Gus there, and he'd let you go on a leash and have you a little bit of a laugh and a bit of crack, but he'd pull you back pretty quickly. And coming up to the end, there was a catchphrase for us. He'd always say, "Are those fucking scripts I see?" But I must say, it has been an enjoyment to be involved with Gus. And I would also say, it has been a lovely, lovely experience to have Una's hands rubbing me about the face.
Well done. What happened is that Gus spoiled it for us really, because when Una comes into do the makeup, she's never had her hands around fellas with a bit of a beard. Some of us wouldn't have washed their hair for a few weeks. And some of the cast hasn't that much hair anyway. But Gus, I always compare Gus to another Clare man who's to the fore now, and that's the Clare team manager, the hurlers. And Gus is a gentleman, but when it comes down to it, he's ruthless. The only place he's not ruthless is in the pub. You'd be having a drink with Gus and he'd be talking about hurling and football and drama, and you'd look and your pint would be nearly gone. Gus would be very good at a slow bicycle race. But no matter how successful any of us are on the stage, we would all say that it was from Gus we began, and it was from him we learned everything we know. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. John.
I'll just say it's a pleasure to be associated with this night for Gus. And he was one of the first teachers I ever had when I got involved with the drama group here. I don't have a very strong voice or anything, but he used to sit up the back there and he said, "Sean, I can't fucking hear you." When you stop fiddling with your feet and your hands and well, that's all I have to say about him really. He taught me an awful lot about the drama group here and how to sort of portray yourself on stage. I mightn't have listened to him all the time, I suppose, but thanks very much, Gus.
Thank you very much, John. An important part, of course, of any drama production is the backstage and the front of house crew and so on, and we have a number of them here tonight, Gus. We have Jonathan and Eugene Finnegan, Frankie Green, Stephen McIntyre and Sean Donnelly, all who are very much involved with this year's All-Ireland. You should pay tribute to these men. Their work was very, very important in bringing that All-Ireland to Carrigallen. And as you're the youngest of the group, Sean Donnelly, we'll ask you to go over and speak on behalf of the rest of them.
What are you laughing at? He's in earnest. Yeah, you met the cast, now we're meeting the outcast. You want me to say a few words about Gus?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to tell the truth. No, Gus is very meticulous in everything he does. Now, I'll have to say that it's sometimes very hard working with him. Just when you think you have everything right, he'll want it slightly changed, especially putting up sets for that. But as Jimmy down here, Jimmy McGarty in the front row, he'd the solution to it. Jimmy used to drive a 6-inch nail into it. Another great word of Gus is when things are wrong and the adjudicator complains, Gus just say, I thought we done that. But when it's right, it's I done it. I think it's wonderful to see him being honoured here tonight anyway, and Gus has given us travelling. It's a pleasure to travel an awful lot of places with him. And
I thought you were going to say he gave the travelling expense.
No, he didn't. No. I never accuse him of the wrong. That's all I have to say about him.
Thanks very much, Sean. A nice round of applause for the backstage crew. Thank you very much. Well done. And of course, what binds the whole lot together is the producer. producer. And a nice warm welcome for the producer of the 1998 All-Ireland Amateur Drama Champions, Killian McGuinness. Tommy Moran says it's a good job you weren't in the play. I don't know if you heard him backstage.
Yes, I did, and thanks very much, Tommy, for your kind comments. I really appreciated them. But anyway, I was just going to say to Tommy, the reason, Tommy, I didn't ring you up is not, I don't take it personally at all. I had Gus. Am I supposed to say? Okay, I'll talk about Una.
Right.
She's far better looking. And Una was right up beside me up in Mullahoran, you know. There was a whole lot of girls in that family, and one of them was better looking than the other, you know. And I spent my teenage years dreaming about them all the time. A lovely family, and the father and mother were lovely. The mother was a lovely outgoing woman, and the father was a nice, quite kindly man. And I always thought that daughters married men like their fathers. Obviously, in this case, they didn't. But anyway, I go back a long way with Gus. I met him in Cavan in 1978 and 79 when I was with fella Patsy Young. And since then, we've done a lot of things together. One-act score and different things like that. There's one thing he always had for me. He was absolutely full of confidence. I often thought he should have been a Cork man rather than a Clare man. You know the thing about Cork men, they don't believe anyone is better than them, and they believe most people are not as good as them, you know. But there's one thing about Gus's confidence, and he has absolute confidence about everything. And the thing that I always think about was down in Clare Morris. We did the communication card, and it was done. We did it for charity. It was the last show, and it was this one from Clare Morris. After the show, there was a big hall. She was mad to dance. It was a jive going on. Most of the younger members of the cast or of the group wouldn't know what a jive was, but I was old enough to know what it was. But I'd know it if I saw it, but I couldn't do it. But of course, no one else would do it except so Gus took her out on the floor. And of course, we were on the side origin of Mom. And if there was a forensic test done of his footprint on the floor, it was a big, big hall. There wasn't a square inch of it he didn't hit. And the more we cheered, the more Gus danced. And the more Gus danced, the more you want sweat. It was pouring out of her. So anyway, at the end of the show, at the end of the dance, she came off the stage and I was standing between her and the bar and she pushed me out of the way. She said, Jesus, I wanted to go for a jive, not run a bloody marathon. But anyway, I just want to say that I'm delighted to have met Gus. He's taught me everything, nearly everything, I don't say that, but Patsy Young, Colin Farrell, you know, he's taught me most things I know about the theatre. And he has absolute confidence in it, instilled that in us, and he doesn't believe in this crack. If you come from a small community, you can't achieve something big. He always achieves if 20 or 30 people get together, no matter they're in a small community or in a big city, they can achieve what they want to achieve by their own efforts, and I want to thank him for that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Well, Gus, we heard that when you were a young lad you used to help out in the shop at home, and the one thing you weren't able to do was to turn off the tap on the paraffin oil in the Linny. Do you remember that? And you spilled about 200 gallons of paraffin oil that was badly needed in Clare at the end of the war, and they must have been expecting Hitler. And you saw a farmer dosing cattle one day, and then you decided to dose the ducks. I don't know how they managed, they must have laid good eggs after it. Jail's fluid and tobacco was what you get. And then we heard about you driving the pony to the creamery at Ballinaccara, and you won the best turned out donkey. No, you didn't, it was a donkey one. But you were driving the donkey. And somebody that remembers all that is your sister Anne and her husband Michael Burke, who have come along to see you. That's a nice surprise for you. And you're very, very welcome. Thank you for making the long journey up to Carrigallen. You had no trouble finding us.
Not at all, no.
You remember all these things that Gus did?
No, I wasn't even born then. He was the eldest of the family and I was the youngest. So I don't remember any of it, in fact.
Wait a minute now. Gus always said he was the youngest in the family.
But Gus was always very fond of the bed, so we did a little bit of bedtime writing for him, for bedtime reading. So he can sit up in bed in the morning and read this.
Yes, you're well used to that.
So this might jog his memory a little bit.
So you have a sort of a CV from his younger years.
That's right, yeah.
And you don't remember the paraffin or the donkey or any of that sort of stuff?
No, I wasn't born then.
But you heard about it. It's in the folklore down in Clare.
That's right.
Michael,
it's in the archives.
Oh, it's in the archives?
In the library in Ennis, yeah.
Oh, very good. Michael, what about your brother-in-law?
Well, Tommy,
Yeah, it's not the fact you look very like him now.
I suppose the colour on top is very much like orange. But as a Dr. Clareman, listening to all the tributes paid here tonight, I agree with all, everybody that he's a great ambassador for Clare. And since I got to know Gus, he's a gentleman, a sportsman. Lately he rings when he's looking for a chicken for Clare. Clare's playing, and he's a true Clareman, the bone, as I said. And it's a great tribute to him tonight to be here and to be honoured as he is, and he's done Clare proud.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much. And there's your, I'm sure you'll have time to read that tonight, Gus. Don't read it at the moment. We have lots of more people for you to read. He's mad to see about himself. Have you the photographs in there? Oh, Una has the photographs. There's photographs of Gus in all. Have you got them there?
Something else, Tommy.
Oh, have you something else?
Is that the one prize or the donkey one prize?
The donkey won the prize of a rosette.
I think we found the rosette.
And you found the rosette. We'll have to get it on the video. Can you get that there, Tony? Well, I suppose as they say, Gus one ass that never do it. Congratulations. It's written on it there, Carrigallen North Clare Show. First prize for Gus's donkey, Gus's art. And you have the photos. We'd like to see those later on. We'll show them to the, they're very small, and we wouldn't see them in the audience. But we'll have to get them blown up. You'll not believe what you see there. Gus, there was somebody would have been very much wanted to be here tonight. It's your friend John Keneally from Carrigallen, but unfortunately there was a family bereavement yesterday in his own family, so he was unable to come. He remembers riding on the dicky board with you at the show and singing and going to matches and drinking pints and so on, but he does send you his very, very best wishes. He did plan to be here, and he's terribly disappointed that he can't make it. Somebody who remembers you, of course, even better than John Keneally, and remembers a famous black suit that you had at one time. Do you remember that? Your aunt's husband was going back to America, and they cut down the suit and left it to Gus. And he wore it for years. Would you give him a nice warm welcome to Gus's sister, Mary Brown? Mary, your husband Chris was unable to come, is that right? Yeah, you're living in Kildare. God bless, we'll have to mention Kildare today. Well done, well done. So it must be great celebrations down there. So I'm sure, Chris, you're living in Kildare because your husband is a doctor with the army.
That's right.
Well, you're very welcome to Carrigallen.
Sorry you couldn't come this evening.
You remember Gus in the black suit going to the dances in Hanrahan's and Paddy Coyne, is it? Paddy Cons, and dancing at the Kelly and the Queens.
Yeah, well, I remember the black suit because, and then, as you said, this aunt of mine returned to the States, and her husband Joe left the black suit. So when Gus would be going to the rockin' or the soirees or the dances, the black suit would be put on, and he'd go off on his high nelly to the dance.
We wouldn't understand that around here. That's the bicycle.
The bottom of the trousers would be tucked into the Wellington boots, and then at a boreen along the way, out would come the shiny shoes, tucked in
He brought the shoes on the bar of the bike.
And he'd put a dash, he'd have a little mirror in his pocket and the comb.
Another mirror.
Unfortunately, in those days, there were no pink or yellow socks, as you can imagine. But he'd make a dash anyway at the dance of the soiree, as the case may be.
Well, who wouldn't have been the first girlfriend, so.
Not by a lot.
Do you remember his first girlfriend, Mary?
She was well...
I suppose she became a nun.
She was.
She joined the convent of a broken back. Anyway.
One little thing to say about him, I always regarded him with kind of an air of authority. And when I was little, he made a habit of pulling my pigtails, as he did of Anne's. And we had a little dog called Roddy. I don't know if he remembers him. But Roddy had a problem with a part of his anatomy. And he didn't need any Viagra. And I think Gus
Well, if you're short of Viagra to bring it back to Clare, I understand Gus has to supply. Well, Gus looked after him. Thanks very much, Mary, for coming all the way from Kildare. Thank you. Well, you know, when he came to Carrigallen, no one had ever thought he went to a dance on the Wellingtons and the shoes in the Clare champion. You know, because when we came here, you know, he was working with the department. Oh God, the civil servant and all that sort of thing. Somebody who remembers you from that time, your very good friend, Father Patsy Young. Sorry, Gus, Father Patsy must be unable to come. He was supposed to come, indeed, and maybe he's held up. He may appear before the rest of the show. All right? However, with Father Patsy, as a household name of the drama, of course, here in Carrigallen, you often had a game of golf, and it would be sort of an unhurried game of golf, because there's one thing about you, when you play golf, the rest of the world stops, and anybody behind you, well, God help them. And somebody from the golf club in Ballinamore that is coming along with a little belated prize that you won there, a very good friend of yours from the club in Ballinamore, Tom Gannon. Go over, Tom, and tell us what this prize is that you won.
Good night to you all. I'm representing Ballinamore Golf Club, the president of Ballinamore Golf Club, and thank God that there's only about 5 people from Carrigallen playing golf in Ballinamore. Gus, as Tommy said, has a reputation of being fairly slow. If we had 10 or 11 slow people, there'd be nobody else left on the course. I hope Gus doesn't take offence to that now, we're going to pull his leg, but he's a very exact, takes great care, and he's a very good golfer. I have to say that, and we have to speak the truth. At least once a month he's in for major prizes of every kind. He has been very good to Ballinamore Golf Club. People have talked about him being good on the play scene and all, but he helped to build up Ballinamore Golf Club. We started very small. We have bought the club. We've developed the club. Gus did his part. He was captain, and he worked very hard. He worked on greens committees. He worked on development committees of every kind, raising money, begging for money, and we got all the money, and we're sitting pretty now with a brand new course. And anyone from Carrigallen that wants to play or that wants to join, they're welcome. As I say, we have 4, but we want more. So, when Gus was captain, indeed I remember as well, and a good captain he was, but he brought a little class to the club. The way the club was running was every fellow would come in and order a pint, and all they would be told were dirty jokes for the night. So Gus changed the whole lot. He got the Carrigallen group down here and got them to perform on night's entertainment, and it was lovely. And he got the Carrick troupe down, and they performed as well. And he changed the whole lot. He gave his recitations himself, and instead of getting in and paying for music, Gus sang himself and gave recitations, and it was a great night. And Unfortunately, the thing is beginning to go again. So we'd want him back again. Lift it up again. Another thing about Gus was his dress. He dressed immaculately. When he'd be preparing to play, he'd take off the suit and he'd put on his golfing suit. And he always watched the socks matched the shirt or the top that he had. He always wore a white pants. The rest of us had our pants that you couldn't be seen in. And he also bought for the club a full-length mirror so that he could take a look. See that he was right. And he was advising members like to cop onto themselves and dress themselves up a little bit and act the part, because golf is like an upper class game, as you know. And if you're playing it, you have to look the part. Definitely, and I admire Gus for his taste, and I admire him for his ability in playing golf and for his ability in singing and entertainment. And he can drink a pint just as good as anybody in it. That's about all.
Thank you very much. Tommy Moran, the president of Ballinamore. Tommy, as he said, is representing the club of Ballinamore. Was the captain, Josie Cryan, would like to be here, but he just left for America today. You know that. Somebody who would like to pay tribute to your work in the parish here, apart from the drama altogether, particularly your work with the choir, as the parish priest, Father Charles Heary, and he's accompanied by the organist in the choir, Marie Dolman. Father Heary and Marie Dolman. Well, Marie, just stand with, have a word with you first there before you go away. Is he much of an addition to the choir?
Oh, it's a wonderful addition to the choir. He's very dedicated. Turns out for all the practices as well as the performances. But I think his best performance was on May the 18th or 17th, the day after the Carnival won. Well, he kind of stumbled up the stairs a little bit. I thought he wasn't going to sing, but of course Una was conducting the choir, so he sang his heart out. And as the mass progressed, his singing also progressed. The final hymn, I think Una was saying, "Shh, Gus." Hear her at all and lifted their rafters. I think the congregation wanted to applaud him, but they were stunned into silence. So I hope now we'll get a similar rendition next year when the cup comes back again.
Hopefully, or when Clare win the All-Ireland. Thank you very much, Marie. Father Heary, you know that before you came to Carrigallen at all, you had seen Gus perform on several stages and you had heard an awful lot about him. Now that you actually met him, what do you think about him?
I was looking forward to meeting Gus, this famous actor and producer and so on. When I came here 2 years ago, you know, a priest comes and he doesn't know many, but the gentleman, Gus, I met him at the church gate. And he is that gentleman that he came over and spoke to me. And again, I was so glad that we spoken to like this, in a sense, because I knew. And there was Gus giving me that sense of being welcome and so on. And that was Gus, and that is Gus as I know him since I came here. But I did hear that morning in the chapel. I heard that rendition coming from the choir. I was being put off my beat, and but also, I mean, Gus comes. I mean, he's as regards the church and so on. He is as dedicated to it and as supportive. Gus comes in on Sunday morning, and when I see Gus in front of me and me trying to put a few words together, and I know Gus is listening, and I know Gus is knows what you're talking about, or trying to talk about it. And I think, God, I hope we get through to this guy, you know, because he needs it. I don't look at him, but I know that, but I'm focusing it. Anyway, I want to congratulate Gus for tonight, but to say again, just what I said at the start, how much I appreciated that coming over that first Sunday morning and and Father here, you're welcome. That's us. Thanks, Gus.
Thank you very much, Father. Because we know you're driving a rather flashy car at the moment, but you might remember the registration number IE6099. You remember that? I do. It's a 500-weight van that you had at home. It was only a two-seater. But in fairness to you, you used to put in bags of hay in the back of it, and you were able to bring passengers. And one of those who often travelled with you in a 500-weight van and did many other things with you is somebody who's come from Donegal with you tonight, John Joe Doherty from Ennistown. John Joe, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll just get you here at this microphone. Do you remember that van?
Yes, I do. I remember the van all right, yeah. I used to be allowed into that van very often, though. It was only meant for two.
I know.
Yeah, I remember the van, but I'm afraid I won't say anything here tonight about it.
Well, there's something I'm going to say about the van. They used to bring pigs in it during the week. And one of Gus's sisters was telling me that the smell from the pigs would be killed because Gus used to use cuticurus soap. It was supposed to be good for acne and spots. And when Gus would look in the mirror, if he saw a bit of a wart at the tip of his nose, he'd be scrubbing himself with cuticura. So that's why the smell was all right in the van. Now tell us a little bit about your life with Gus. You went to college in Ennistown with him.
Indeed, we went to the CBS together. As a matter of fact, I got to know Gus in the very early 50s. So we've had a very long association. Gus, by the way, he was always the bright spark. He was the A1 guy, you know.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I used to be trailing behind, but he was always good, you know. He'd have the exercise done, so he'd help you out in the morning, yeah. But we moved on from there, and we went separate directions for a while, and we met up in Galway. As a matter of fact, we worked in the same job in Galway, and we shared the same room for a while. And we shared the same wallet, as a matter of fact.
That was your wallet.
And we were known to share the same women.
But Caroline,
I should have prefaced my remarks by telling Ronan that this was long before her time. She wasn't even heard of at this stage. But I heard you, I was in the background there, and I vaguely heard you say something about a black suit.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, is it the same black suit as Gus had in Galway? Because there was a girl called Anne. I don't remember her surname, but she was Anne anyway. And Gus had a great crush on Anne. And there was this particular night we went to Sea Point, and we went in casual attire, you know. So we came home early. We didn't have much success, obviously. So we had a bit of a chat anyway, and I decided I would go to sleep, and Gus was still doing his hair. But, so after about maybe an hour and a half, he used to call me Jacko, by the way. He never called me Johnny. So I felt him shaking me. He said, Jacko, he says, wake up. I said, what in the name of God is wrong with you? So I woke up anyway, and I thought I was seeing things. I said, God almighty, is this the ghost of Hamlet? There he was, immaculately dressed, beautifully coordinated. He was always good at that part. And he said to me, Jacko, do you think, if I had worn that suit tonight, do you think I'd have done business with Anne? The long and the short of it, he wore it the next night going to Sea Point. And
how did you get on with that?
He got on very well.
Fair play.
I think she's a nun now, though. But I had a very nice velvet jacket that time, and when I wouldn't be going to the dance, Gus used to take the jacket, you know, without asking me, by the way. And the sleeves were always that little bit short, but it still didn't prevent him taking it. But I used to say to him, it was a brown velvet jacket, and I would say,
Well, I don't mind you taking the blessed jacket, but this bloody old woodworks powder, I can never get it off the lapel.
Thank you very much, Tommy.
Gus actually, he was my best man at my wedding, and he gave his usual, you know, articulate oration, and all the guests nearly fell off the chair. The poor Monsignor was sitting over in the corner. He was suffering from hardening of the arteries at the time, and he was suffering from a wee bit of loss of memory. And he nearly fell off because he was next to go on to say his few words, you know. But Gus, as far as I'm concerned, Gus is one of the finest friends that anybody could wish to have. And the greatest tribute that you could pay to somebody down in County Clare, apart from telling them that they're good colours of that, you know, is to say you're a born gentleman. So I'll summarise it by saying to Gus, he's one of the finest gentlemen. When Una rang me during the week, I had something else on because the village that I live up in Donegal, this is the centenary celebration. But I said, Gus's night will have to take precedence over everything else. So I'm delighted to be here on this occasion. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, John. Thank you. Thank you very much, John. We hope that you're able to stay on. And of course, we mentioned the Cura soap, and naturally, when you came to Carrigallen, you graduated to Old Spice. You wouldn't be dependent on the soap. And there's a couple of men who acted on stage with you and remember you for the way you were able to turn yourselves out, and indeed they took an example from you. That's Aidan Hart, Peter McNamee, and Pat Fitzpatrick. Will you go over to the microphone? And with them, Gus, would you just walk down? There's another gentleman in the front row that I mentioned earlier tonight. He'd love to be on the stage. That's Jimmy McGarty, who was part of that group as well. Jimmy McGarty, standing in the front row. You're on in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Father.
Reverend sisters, fathers, ladies and gentlemen. But in fact, you've forgotten one essential thing. We made 9 assaults in Athlone for the SO All-Ireland drama, which is a fine achievement for an articulate people to have the cheek to go for it. In a small rural area. And my mind goes back to 73, and our first play was Sharon's Grave. Gus is the only person around that's been involved on all 9 assaults. But you give Gus, he's only one, give him a round of applause. In 73, we went in good faith for our first time. We weren't inadequate nor inferior. We went in good faith. You crawl before you walk. Look at the Lily Whites yesterday in fair play. We went in good faith, and in actual fact, Gus would have produced that play, but he was involved later on in lighting back up through it. Gus had a minor illness, thanks be to Christ, it was minor ground. Father Patsy Young produced it. Peter and Pat and myself, and Pat was in Athlone. Pat was awarded by the adjudicator for the best supporting actor. He carried a guy on his back that was also playing a leading role, the leading main role. He's holding the red book, Tommy Moran, Lindsay Conley, and that's all I've got to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You were never known to get stuck for a line on stage. There's a prompter out there, and help Peter along here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be associated with this lovely evening. I can always remember Father Young, and I can always remember Gus Ward, especially good words from myself and Aidan Hart. He always said, only from McNamee and Hart there'd never be a set loaded. And we were above in Donegal and Ballyshan in the early stages in the junior championship. There was about 16 rows of sets to be loaded. And I was playing the monk with a pair of sandals on. And I used to say to Aidan, keep the door open, you buy and head for the hotel, and I put the sandals in the pocket. And then he used to come up, God buys you your credit. I have to say that as Gus took over and as our drama progressed, I'm sorry that I wasn't associated this year in this fine, marvellous year, but to say to Gus and his wife and late family, congratulations and many more years, Gus, along with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter.
I see Tommy Moran over there. First time ever I was on the stage, it was along with Tommy and Gus. Tommy was a brother of mine. And he was supposed to be the smart fella, and Tommy was supposed to be the idiot. He was supposed to be at 24 with a mind of a child of 5, but I think he was the mind of 1 day. 2 years after, we're brothers again, 1973, Sharon's grave. And he was the idiot again. I carried him from Sir Morris to Carrigallen to Lisbon Bar and back that road. But anyway, that's getting away from Gus. I remember the first time I heard of Gus was at a Connacht final. And this fella beside me, and there was no game going on, he started talking. He was from Carrigallen, no, says I am not, but I'm from Leitrim, Carrigallen. He says, do you know Augustine P. Ward? Say you do. He's after coming to Carrigallen. What do you know about him, says I? Oh, he's a very, very religious man. How do you make out that, says he? Well, he says there was a mission here beside us, and only one turned up to it, and that was Augustine Ward. He was in the second stage. Missioner landed, and he went down and he says, excuse me, he says to us, there's no point in having a mission when there's only one here. Oh, says Gus, if I wanted to out with the bucket to feed the hens and only one hen come, I'd feed that hen. But anyhow, the missioner tugged out 40 minutes of the sermon. And when he was coming out, he met Gus. Is that all right? Well, says Gus, if I went out to feed the hens with a bucket of feeding, and only one hen come, I wouldn't throw the whole lot of that hen. The other day, Gus came out to our house. I don't think he passed the job, but he knew I was a bit downhearted, and he says, you know what you do, Pat? I said, oh, come away to grandmother next. What's in grandmother? Oh, make that home, he says. Dress up and I collect. Gus, when we went in, and staffed, and Gus went away that way, I went this way. But when the dance is over, there was no sign of Gus. But I met him after, and to say, what kind of a dame was that you remember Gus? And of course, she wasn't going to tell me too much. Well, he says she's 50, she looks 40, she dresses like 40, and she acts like 20. That's all I have to say. If I have respect for Gus, a gentleman that never lost his taste.
Thank you very much. I'd like to bring in the former principal of the vocational school in Carrigallen here, who admires all the work you did in the town, Michael Declan. Right, he's coming all right. He wasn't due to be in until later on, but I think you understand he has to leave. Here he comes. Come on, Mick, you're welcome. Michael Declan. You're nice welcome. development of the park here in Carrigallen. So maybe you'll have a quick word with us, Michael, before you leave. I know you have to go somewhere else.
Well, I like Gus in a lot of ways.
Well, God, we wouldn't have thought that now, Michael.
We're both outsiders.
All right. Oh God, you're not an outsider now after all these years.
Well, we both love Carrigallen.
You do, sir.
I'll tell you an amusing incident for me. I was running an All-Ireland fishing competition. Remember that?
I do, surely.
So Gus asked me had I any job. I said, sure, you can go around on so many business people to collect scales. You know those big scales?
Yeah.
I gave him the names, but I didn't know Gus's extracurricular activities took place at all. So he arrived at Nucleus in Anecdotes. And very nice fellows, Nucleus, but a very nervous fellow. And of course, like all businessmen, he was afraid of thieves. Very good on him. So Gus heard, who the hell are you or what do you want? And he looked up and he saw two barrels. We're going to stick it out. I nearly cost poor Gus's life. But he got the scales and we're great friends.
And you remember that fishing competition? I remember being at a meeting and you had made arrangements for out at Gulladoo, and there was pegs and all kinds of things. And then the subsequent meeting, you weren't there, but Father Patsy was there, and he changed everything, of course, the way he thought was right. And at the following meeting, and I was the secretary, I had a read out from the minister. Father Patsy changed the arrangement made by Mr. Degnan. And Mr. Degnan says, I wish to Christ Patsy would stick to saying mass and the fucking fishing.
The only time I collaborated closely with Gus was when I found him replacing Sean Doyle. No, yes, Sean Doyle as chairman of the park committee. I think about 18 months, was that right?
About that, I think.
Yeah, we ended the thing anyway and we had to pay off the debts. And as usual, I found him very meticulous and exact. As being Gus, he couldn't be otherwise. And one thing I'd say, in all the years I know, I never could fight with him.
Well, I suppose you're the only one in Carrigallen you didn't fight.
It's not hard to fight with me, but what I'm trying to say is Gus is a gentleman.
Indeed he is, certainly is. Well, thank you very much, and thanks to you, your friend, Mr. Indeed, Gus, Mick mentioned your organisational abilities there and collecting money for the fishing and the sponsorship and what have you, and you started at an early age because we understand you used to run sports in Keneally's field down there, and you stole things out of the house. You had sugar bowls and picture frames and scrubbing brushes as the prizes for the sports. And one man, Joe Nicholas, complained because the razor blades he got in the egg and spoon race were rusty. And I think the whole profit from your first sport was 14 and sixpence. I'm sure it's in the offshore account with Hockey's money now. And before he came to Carrigallen at all, of course, Gus had played juvenile football with Kilfenora, that famous place with the Cayley band. He had relations in that band. And he played minor hurling with Cluna Ennistimon, but that's the right name of the club. And he was a star senior full forward with Curragh. And somebody who remembers you as a sportsman and remembers you at the house dances and a great character himself all the way from Curragh. I know you'd be delighted to meet a very good friend of yours, Joe Kears. And with Joe we have his wife, Kathleen, his wife. Joe, you're very, very welcome.
Thank you.
understand you're a bit of a character yourself, and say we'll hear you singing before the night is out, but tell us a bit about this fellow when he was a gospel down there.
Well, we used to be going down that area, you know, from our youth. I was the bit older than Gus. But we'd be doing the bit of hurling in McGrath's field, the small bit over from Gus's house. So that'd be grand in the evenings and the Sundays and all. But in the night time then sure we'd want some bit of recreation, and dancing at handrails was the venue. And that'd be across the land, all right over across. We'd bring old bikes down as far as Wards, and we'd park them there. And we'd go across in front of the light where we'd be seeing it, you see. And Gus would come out, would you wait a minute, and then we would. And partly to get ready, and partly for to get leave to go, you see. Oh, no bother at all. But that'd be grand. But if he went in, and if the rosary happened to be on, when he went in here to wed, it was finished. And for I suppose that's much to today.
Never misses it.
Never misses it. He'd have to wait for the full quarter of an hour or whatever, and if his shower came, we'd be playing for Gus. But we'd still wait for him. And we'd go along, there was a couple of nice girls at Hammerhands, and the neighbour girls that come in to see him. We'd danced a few sets, a few songs. There'd be a couple of tales in the night. And Gus and I was rounded up with the green hills of tail and make him what he job. And sure he still does.
There's a new song for you now, Sean Garvey from Digitalised. Well, it's very nice here to make a long journey from Clare. I know you'll be heading for Dublin next Sunday for the big game, and I'm sure Gus will be going up there.
Yes.
So you must, and the rest of your friends from Corralfin, Gus, and from Clare, and gentlemen, John who came from Donegal. Obviously you think a lot about this guy, even though he's gone such a long time from down there. So he must have created a big impression.
A big impression. A big impression.
Well, thank you very much, Joe, and your wife, Kathleen, for coming up, and we'll be chatting to you later on. Will you take a seat there, Joe? Thank you very much. And we mentioned hurling, Gus, and we mentioned your injury, and one man who played with you in Leitrim way back in those years, in the Leitrim hurlers, he had to fight for his place on the team. You were an automatic choice. It's Michael Durigan, who is now the secretary of the Leitrim Hurling Board. Michael has come along to say hello to you. Have you a message for us, Michael?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have several messages, but the first one I was here early on, like, you know, trying to disguise myself. And I thought Gus would recognise me anyway, because I haven't actually met it, say, 30 years. Emily lives inside the county in Carrigallen, but I haven't met Gus since then trips in Patsy Doherty's bus coming back from hurling matches when he was after missing the 1 or 2 goals. As a little girl out in the street, I just happened to meet her towards the end of the evening, and she gave her name actually as Aoife O'Malley. And she says, "What are you doing here?" She says, "I says, I'm here to talk a bit about hurling, and Gus played a bit in his time." And she says, "Will you tell him about all the ones that he missed?" But seriously, I suppose, hurling, I suppose, to Gus, I'm sure it still is, when he mentions things of Clare, he remembers back the years when he did start his hurling, wherever it was. And when he came to Carrigallen, he was quickly picked up, I think it was by the vocational teacher there, or Tommy Moran, to play for Leitrim. And I was young for the time on the bus, but it was a few years behind Gus, I think. But not very many. For the look of him, he weathered well. He was probably lucky to go up to hurling. Because I think if he hadn't taken up the drama, if he stuck with the hurling, he might have won in Ireland at that too. But Ireland is hard to come by Leitrim, and I, for one, I'm not one that goes to the theatre, I have to admit. But I read the Observer, and everybody reads the Daily, and the coverage given to Leitrim when they do win is very good, as our minor footballers now are something like Clare were a few years ago. They're being honoured immediately when they win something, because it's not very often we win anything. And just looking back, I was trying to, when Tommy rang me up yesterday evening, I was a bit taken by his back. I said, "How do I remember anything about this who, you know?" Apart from the bike, you know, the one he has the bike. But anyway, I got on to a good friend of mine who Gus knows very well, Mick Kane and Mull. And we had a bit of crack this evening about Gus when he played. And he said, "Be sure and tell him the one about Johnny Martin, the skate he pulled on his knee. He nearly took the kneecap off him." But having said that, he said, "No, you want to see him walking down now with an umbrella." He says he was swinging as good as any Clare hurler, he says. Anyway, I had a little photograph here of the 1967 Leitrim hurling team that defeated Mayo. And Gus, you're standing in the back there proudly like a young fella. If you like the hair, you still look the same today. But in the front was a little man with his head down who didn't want to be known. He was an illegal player, but Gus might be able to identify him later on. So finally, before I leave, he was Tipperary, was he? Probably was. So Gus, great memory more than McKean. But I'd hate to miss this opportunity without mentioning the game of hurling in Carrigallen. As I came through there, you know, you're talking to lads, and they all remember football and even now in Carrigallen drama. But unfortunately, there's a great art not being practiced in Carrigallen. That's the art of hurling. And I was just in the back there sitting down with Owen, and this fellow came up to me and he says, the reason he company was that a hurley there, you see, he says, what's this? I says, it's a hurley. He says, had you ever won them before? He says, no. He says, would you play it over here? No. He says, no. I said, do you play camogie? I thought there was camogie involved in Carrigallen. He said, no, they don't. But I said, if you're around next Christmas, we'll guarantee you that along with Gus Ward in Carrigallen, there'll be hurling. And Gus may have some input in that as well, because we're a fine centre for indoor hurling, which is a game that can be played indoors during the winter months. And the lads love it, and the girls love it as well. And I think I'd finish on a note by handing over one of those to Gus, who might introduce to the lads in Carrigallen.
There we are, the indoor hurling. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was Michael Durigan, the Secretary of the Leitrim Hurling Board. And we know, Gus, that hurling is one of your great passions. And we couldn't get any of the Clare hurlers here tonight because naturally they're preparing. But I understand you have a model of one in the garage. And we'll get your son to bring it in because it has been adapted slightly, especially for tonight. Will you bring in this model from the garage? And we'll turn it out to face the audience and we'll see what's on it. The body is James E. O'Connor. I'm sure you've all heard of the famous James E. O'Connor, the Clare hurler. Can you bring it up, Tony, in the video? You have it there. You'll all get a look at that after. That's James E. O'Connor's body, and it's amazing what your son can do with this graphic design. Thank you very much. And Gus, as I said, the hurlers couldn't come, but something they did for you was they all autographed a hurley. It's autographed by every single member of the Clare hurling team, and we'd like to present that to you now. I've got the hurley there, Patrick. Autographed by all the Clare hurlers who are the Munster champions and who are playing in the All-Ireland semi-final on Sunday. And Gus naturally hopes that they're going to win another All-Ireland. By the way, when they won the last All-Ireland, their first All-Ireland there a couple of years ago, Gus made up one of the many songs that was composed about the banner. Did you make any money on that, Gus?
No, Tommy.
Not a lot, all right. And the royalties didn't come in yet. I think Pat Mitchell has the order. You just bring it in there and present it to Gus. It's autographed by all the Clare hurlers. I'm sure Gus would like to have it. Something else. And Gus, somebody that we mentioned earlier on, he's just a little bit late coming, but he made it. He came a long journey. He's normally in Ballyconnon, but he was away today. But he came back especially to be here tonight. That's the former curate of Carrigallen, Father Patsy Young.
I don't know.
Well, you didn't fail anything since you left, Father.
You did.
I'm seeing the Jews in Ballyconnon, Anna. You were mentioned several times tonight, Father, before you came in relation to the drama and the progress that Carrigallen made, particularly with Gus's involvement, so I know that you'd like to add something to that. We have Tommy McCardle in the audience, so be careful what you say.
Well, Gus and I think, came to Carrigallen about the same year, 1963. And was that Gus? Yeah. And I was here for 12, 13 years after that. During that time, he and I were very good friends, and we were involved in the drama together and enjoyed some great times together. I was listening out in the hall there before I came in, and the sound isn't great out there. You can't hear what you're saying, but you can't hear what I'm saying. But they were saying, a lot of people that were on before me said that he was a gentleman. What they didn't say was that he would come fairly gentle. But I was there all through the years that he was looking for a woman as well, and he was gone out with one or two, and then Uni came on the job, and we encouraged him to go ahead, and he was a nice looking lassie, and there was I just remember this, just before they were engaged, there was an awful row between the two of them. He turned up at some dance and there was 2 hairs out of place. And he came to me and I said I'd talk to her, and she said that that's all she could find wrong with him, really. And I encouraged her to go ahead, that they'd probably fall out anyway. But they didn't fall out. They actually, Gus was famous when I was here for his tidiness and neatness, and he was a perfectionist in everything he took on to do. And that was his job and his drama and everything else that everybody put his hand to. He was a perfectionist, and he was a perfectionist in cleanliness, and I used to be ragging him very often with the length of time he spent combing his hair. All the blessings if you're anything like it. But the hair got a nervous breakdown anyway, it got very white. I'd like to take this opportunity for congratulating him and all the other members of the drama group here in the Cornmill Theatre on their wonderful achievement, and having been involved for a few years back in the 60s and early 70s. You know, the winning on Ireland in Athlone is a magnificent achievement, and he had a part in that, and all the other people. It really is an extraordinary achievement, and I'd like to congratulate Gus and everybody else involved.
I think, Father, you have to take some of the credit for that as well.
If I could, I would, but
I know you will indeed. And I'm sure you have Sean Garvey here, and Tommy McCarthy said he'll have a long night talking about drama later on.
Please.
But thanks very much for making the effort to come. Thank you very much. Gus, we heard about all the many trophies that you won as a producer and an actor, and the very first trophy you won was actually for shooting, if you remember that, at a shooting range, and the Carrigallen Cinema used to come around Corrafin, and the film that they played most nights was The Cisco Kid, and your late father, he won a trophy as well, and I think the 2 of them were kept on top of his homemade china cabinet at home, and when you had mass in the house they were polished. I think Una still has that trophy somewhere for you. And we mentioned your black suit, but when you were heading for Ballyhales, you got a list of drapery that you had to get, and I think it was the first time you ever encountered pyjamas. And you had to get 2 changes of underwear in Jim Nagel's shop, and your mother made a laundry bag out of an old flower bag for you. You remember all that? And she knitted a Fair Isle Gansey, and you'd be glad that one of your sisters has a picture of that of you in that Gansey all the time. And you eventually then became an agricultural officer working with the department, and we have 2 gentlemen who came from another county to Leitrim, and they in their own way and their families have contributed enormously to their own communities in Leitrim, another part of Leitrim. That's Tom and Maureen Lynch from Ohull and Sean and Peggy Lynch from Drumshanbo. Well, they come down here and say hello to us. There's Maureen and Peggy there. Maureen is very, very shy. This is Maureen Lynch, Tom's wife. There's Peggy there.
I'm after losing Peggy.
You lost Peggy. Well, maybe you'll find her again. We'll have her up. Oh, she's coming. Here she comes. Actually, Peggy was the subject of This Is Your Life in Drumshanbo a few years ago, because she does tremendous work in there. That's Mrs. Peggy Lynch, Sean's wife. These 2 Lynch brothers are Kerrymen. Wasn't it great that they came to Leitrim, because they'll have to compliment both families for the amount of work they did. Sean, I know that you were going to act as spokesman, and then we get Maureen to say so.
Well, the fact that we were sent to Leitrim, it's been said that we were the first people that were expelled from Kerry.
that we had to immigrate. But anyway, we are absolutely thrilled to be associated with this night and congratulate Gus and Ronan. Our association with Gus goes back a very long time. In fact, I remember when we were appointed as agricultural officers back in the early 60s, we were called into the office in Carrigallen, and well, obviously to be vetted. And this tall, lean, good-looking fella from County Clare, well-groomed and well-dressed, and which he looked impeccable. And one of the supervisory officers said, "Well, who's this fella from the well-groomed bloke?" And the other man says, "Well," he says, "if he does his job as good as he combs his hair, he says, we have picked a good one." I've seen, I think, was it a rosette? We were back in the other hall, and a rosette, that Ronan has a rosette, but it reminds me of a story. It happened in Drumkeeran, and Gus and I, we were involved with an agricultural show in Drumkeeran. And of course, like Gus got a job, he got the job in starting a donkey derby. And of course, 9 donkeys were lined up, and Gus copped on, he saw one spare donkey. And being a man for all seasons anyway, he gave me the whistle, and he says, "I'll hop on the donkey." And he duly won the race, and won actually a big cup. And it's been said, he boasts, "I won that at golf."
Well, he won many a cup. He won many a cup for golf and acting and so on, but probably when he goes back to Clare, there's a little bit of exaggeration in it, you know. Well, I know he often borrowed gold medals off
Tommy, I'll tell you another story about Gus. It was in, I think, West Cavan along Dungannon. And Gus is one of the most efficient men on the job. And he came across this man, he was looking for a grant, I think, for a road. And of course, like, he had 300 or 400 metres of a road in mind, and he'd only a couple of shovels of gravel thrown on the road. And so Gus said, "There's no way," he said, "you'll get a grant for that." Well, he says, "Well, what would you get?" Well, he says to Gus, he says, "I built a pair of piers," he says, "and a gate," he says, "further in," he says, "would you go in and look at it?" Well, so Gus, he says, if it's okay. If it's okay, he says, "I'll give you a grant for it." And so when Gus was within 20 metres of the pair of piers, there was one like that, and the other one was like this. And your man says, "What will you give me for the pair of piers?" And Gus says, "I'll give you 6 months." Anyway, before I finish, Tommy, I'd like to, we're absolutely thrilled to be here tonight. Gus is a great friend of ours, so is Ronan. I have been associated with Gus, Tom, Maureen, Peggy and myself. We've been associated with the Ward family, and we are thrilled to be here, and we're very honoured to have something to do with this thing tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Just before, Tommy, I'd just like to say about the Clare people in their winning the All-Ireland. I'd like to point out to them that it was Michael Pugfather Murphy was the first man he was a Kerry man from my van. And he was one of the first men that won the All-Ireland for Kerry in 1886, and he had a long pug father. And by all accounts, he pumped the slitters so far from North Kerry, he landed in Clare. And it took them 100 years, and fair play to them. I hope they win the next All-Ireland as well.
Remarkable, Tommy. Thank you. That's Peggy and Maureen, and I know that Tommy McCarroll will be particularly interested to have a chat with Maureen later on account of a very famous uncle, one of her very famous uncle, Patrick Kavanagh, the writer. That's his niece there, Mrs. Maureen Lynch. Now, of course, we're delighted to meet some of your present colleagues from the office in Cavan. We've Oliver Cregan and Brendan Lynch, I understand, have both come along to say hello to you. Well, you're very, very welcome. Sorry, I thought you had your friend. Oh, he's in the audience there, is he?
No, no.
Oh, no, sorry. Okay.
On holidays in Clare, for God bless.
Oh, God bless us.
Yeah. Good influence.
Right. Will you tell us a little bit about Gus at work? Because I said at the beginning of the show that nobody in Carrigallen ever actually saw him work.
Well, maybe if we could arrange a swap for a while, I'll come to Carrigallen and I'm sure enjoy it for a while. And whoever takes my room, which is next door to Gus's, quite a thin wall between us, they will meet him and see him in action there, and that's a treat in itself.
On the laptop, I'm sure.
Laptop, that's come into it too, yeah. I'm not sure if he brings it to the country with him, but he makes very good use of what he has there. I know Gus from, I think we met first in 1968. Not exactly sure it was 68, but we definitely met in 1970. And then quite a bit through the early 70s. And met him mostly through staff associations, or what later became a union. He was representing his group as a parish agent, and I was representing mine, which was a different group representing a different geographical area. We became very good friends then, and we continued that activity, I suppose, right up to a year or so ago, when we both retired from that end of it. So I was very friendly with Gus. I came to Cavan then in 1980, and since then we've worked very closely and became very good friends. I suppose I learned more about him. I knew him on a different front before that, but then I saw him in action, and I assure you he was someone who, like everything he does, he takes his work very seriously, very, very seriously. Very dedicated, has been a tremendous friend, a tremendous colleague, and helped me all the time. And we were always able to discuss things. And of course, a year or so about a year ago, he became my boss as well. But that didn't change our relationship so far anyway. I don't expect it will. I hope it won't anyway.
But not after tonight. He'll have to say it and you have to turn it up tonight.
But of course, I had heard of Gus before 1968 at all, because my home place is not too far from here at mine. And Granada was going very well in the 60s, in the early 60s. And it was known for Carrigallen, a car load or two, to do some poaching up there in Granada. I'm not sure that it wasn't there he met Una, but
that's right.
He was quite fond of the Granada, and you know, it was resented a little bit up that side when these Carrigallen fellows were taking the cream of the girls in Granada. So, I had heard about him before I met him some time. So, of course, one other thing that struck me when I heard so much talk about Clare tonight, and when John Doherty talked as well about hurling, what Gus doesn't know, or John knew either, that a few years ago when Clare were coming to Croke Park for the first time in many years, apparently there was a great, they had a slogan of their own. And one day I heard this very strange noise next door to me, and I listened, I heard it repeated, and I got up and opened the window and looked out to see who he was shouting at outside. And it's not like us to shout at anyone, you know. I realised that the pair of boys, one in Donegal and the other in Cavan, were on the phone and they were rehearsing the Clare shout.
And they'll be using it next Sunday. Well,
hopefully.
Thank you very much for coming along tonight. Thank you. And also, you mentioned Cavan. Apart from working in Cavan, you've often appeared at the Drama Festival there, and representing the festival committee there were Seamus and Anne Tully from the Cavan Drama Festival. I'm not sure if Brian and Maura Sullivan were able to come tonight. No, okay, Seamus and Anne are representing the festival. Thank you very much for coming. Seamus, will you have a quick word about Gus there, please? On behalf of the Cavan Drama Festival.
Well, I'm speaking, I suppose, for the Cavan Drama Festival, and having known Gus in this before I became a member of the festival. And the first time I think I became particularly aware of him was in a play, the Shopron. And I don't know why I happen to remember his particular part. As far as I know, he played a very despicable, slimy, reprehensible character.
Oh, that's
but great close to it, I should say. But the next time I think, well, as I say, I'd seen him year in, year out with Carrigallen, either here or around the place or in Cavan. But I was involved in a one-act festival in Cavan with Tommy Moran, I think what they were doing on the outside, and we were performing in St Patrick's in Cavan, I think is what the festival was. And Carrigallen were doing something there on the same night, but I wasn't taking part in the play. I was doing lights or something like that. And I know that a particular light had to be shifted this way or that way before we started. And I went to move this light, and Pete Ward, Pete, in no relation, Pete says to me, he says, don't touch that light. He says, that's Gus. He says, and he's very, very contrary. Whether I didn't move it sufficiently or not, I met him afterwards and I found he was quite amiable. But sometime later, I think, in the festival, I'd known Gus before I'd known Una for some reason. And I'd assumed, I don't know why, that Eileen was Gus's wife. I remember at the club one night thinking, up at the festival club, I should say, thinking that it must be a bit of a disturbance in the camp, because both of them are going through a lot of trouble to ignore each other. And there's only sometimes afterwards that he had another wife, he had a wife.
Thank you very much, Seamus and Anne, and I hope that Carrigallen will be on stage in the Cavan Drama Festival for many, many years to come. Thanks to you, and thank you very much. Seamus mentioned about switching lights and so on, and a couple of men who remember that very, very well, Gus. Cahill Sheridan, Christy Kieran and Michael Hackett, who soldiered with you over the years and have many memories of you being contrary, as Father Patsy said, a kind of a contrary gentleman. Cahill Sheridan, Cahill was the guest of honour last year. Christy Kieran and Michael Hackett. Christy, will you go over to the microphone there, and I know that you suffered, I think, more than most with Gus.
You can say that again. As Father Young said, Gus was very particular about lighting and about everything else. But I remember one evening in New Inns, as Gus will remember, and I was putting up a light on the wall, and Gus was holding the ladder on a very slippery floor, and Nurse Keenan was on the stage and she was moving a lamp to one side, and of course she said to Gus, was this all right here? So of course Gus went up to see was it and left me on the ladder, me light and ladder came to the floor.
But he was very particular with the flash, if you remember.
He was, very particular.
Cahill, you were the guest of honour last year. I know that you could relax tonight, you knew it wasn't you anyway. What did you think about it?
I'm the only happy man coming here tonight. I'm the only one coming in and enjoy myself tonight. Gus' relationship and I go back a long, long, long way. Through football, through drama, and I remember all the old days with yourself and Gus and indeed Jimmy, great to see Jimmy McGarry, Father Patsy and all the boys, and this year gave me great joy to see them winning the All-Ireland, and I was glad that I was part of it at one time.
Thank you very much, Cahill. And Michael Hackett, you did a lot of work over the years. Probably your young brother has stolen a bit of your thunder, you know, by appearing on these all.
Well, I never actually took to the board, so he didn't really wipe my eye. But Gus actually cost me a job one time. I did a short stint as the driver of a van that were bringing the flats on, the equipment around, and I lost a headstone as I was careering through Kilty-Clogher, and that was the last time I got to drive the van. I do forgive Gus for that. But anyway, he was a great guy to work with. He was very particular, and the thing had to be right.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. We're mentioning a lot about drama tonight, Gus, and Ireland is delighted with playwrights like John B. Keane and Brian McMahon and Brian Freed. But there's one man who has come along in recent years, and Carrigallen were delighted to present his play, Lovely Leitrim, and he's come along to say hello to you tonight. The author of that play and the All-Ireland winning actor himself, John McDwyer, and his wife, Josephine. Well, I think Josephine is staying in the audience. Josephine is in the audience, you'll see her later on. John, first of all, congratulations yourself on being an All-Ireland actor. Well done, and particular congratulations on the marvellous play, Lovely Leitrim. You must have written especially for Carrigallen.
Well, I just want to say first of all that publicly state that Gus Ward is innocent. Because and I want to thank him for saving my life on one occasion with Lovely Leitrim, because Lovely Leitrim was conceived in Kelly's Hotel in Mohall, a meeting Gus and I had, and Gus's reaction to it was, sure, we'll give it a crack anyway. And I took it from there. And it was, I think, 5 nights old before I saw it. I remember somebody asking me, do you not want to go and see the play? And I said, I don't need to see the play, because if it doesn't work, it's my fault. It certainly won't be Gus Ward's or the Cornwall players. But where he saved my life was, as any of you would have seen the play will realise, there was a bit of unparliamentary language in it. A few 4-letter words like gosh and darn. And the play was delayed in Kilty-Clogher because Patsy Crowell was so excited about seeing it that he crashed on his way to the theatre. And it was held up for a couple of weeks when we recovered. But in the audience that night was my mother, who was 88 at the time, and my sister, one of my sisters, who was a nun. And the play went very well on the night, and they won the festival, and of course we were all very excited because it meant the play was going to Athlone. And I went on stage to congratulate Gus and the cast, and when I turned around, the pair of women were gone. So I sort of put 2 and 2 together, and I thought they may be gone for the prayer mat to pray for the son that they have lost. And a couple of days later I decided I'd better call into the house and see what the situation is like. So the 2 of them were sitting each side of the fire, and I went in and sat down. What did you think? Yeah, it was good, yeah. It was all right, I suppose. And I sort of got the vibe that there was something wrong, so I thought the best form of defence here is attack. So I said, did you ever hear anything worse than the language? And my mother says, oh, why are you complaining about it? Did you write it? I says, I did not. I said, Gus Ward put all that in. And I said, I suppose they're in All-Ireland now, I suppose they'll have to stay in it, you know. But, so I just want to say tonight that Gus is totally innocent of that charge. And I want to thank him, and thank the Cornwall Theatre Company for what they did with Lovely Leitrim and what they did for Lovely Leitrim. Lovely Leitrim is making a return this year, towards the end of the year, for Bees Knees. And when I told my mother that, the finest compliment she could pay Gus Ward was to say, are you sure now you should do that? You'll never be able to do it as well as the Carrigallens. Probably won't, but we can but try. Gus, I'm delighted to be here tonight. You're having a great night, and you deserve everything that's been said about you.
Thank you very much. I know that Jim and Mary Gorman from Carrigallen Summer were to come. I'm not sure if Oh, they are here, sorry, yes. I thought they might have been able to come because they were away on holidays. Jim Gorman and his wife Mary Maguire, and yes, from Carrigallen. You all know Mary Maguire, married to Jim. Jim is involved with the referee players in Carrigallen Channel for many, many years. And I know that Jim, you'll have a quick word with us before you sit down, please. Oh, Mary, you're going to talk. Well, that's the way it is in your house, I understand. Jim, will you pull down the microphone for her? That's it.
I have just to apologise to Gus for stealing one of his leading actors at a very early stage.
I was a very young, innocent teenager when I was on stage with Tommy here and Gus and Jimmy McGurty. And my first recollection of Gus is arriving for a rehearsal and Gus has all his props. And I remember that distinctly. And the other thing I wanted to mention is Gus's work for charity. Our local curate was doing a concert for the Lourdes Invalid Fund and I gave Gus's name and he duly came and performed for free.
Well, indeed, he is very generous with his talents, we'll have to say that. Thank you very much, Jim and Mary. Thank you. And Gus, there was somebody mentioned earlier on, a lot of confusion in her own life and in your wife Una's life. That's Eileen Ward.
Sorry, Tommy.
All right, well, they're all dressed up, Eileen. You went to a lot of trouble for Gus, Eileen, tonight.
I don't know whether I should talk to her or not. She didn't nearly want to talk to me there.
Well, what can you say about this man that's supposed to be your husband?
Well, we're all here. He's sitting, I was just looking at him there. I tell you, he looks very smug and all dressed up tonight, doesn't he?
He does.
He doesn't usually, dress up like that. And then I was just thinking bringing new Tommy Moran here from Ballinamore to sort his life out. And if you saw the rest of us all down here sweating and we're all waiting to come up, waiting on what we say, and I wanted the other fella to say something.
Well, I know you've been nervous on the stage here, Eileen.
And Una here, well now, up to this, well, he thought she was a great lassie, but she's been telling lies and fibbing and concocting and pretending the whole week. So you'd never know after this. I always agree with openness and transparency.
A good Fianna Fáil woman.
Aye, that's right. They talk about that in high places, don't they?
That's right.
And isn't that where all the seats change? So you'd never know after. She has an awful lot to make up after tonight. You never know, I could be sitting in her seat yet. Gus and Eileen Ward are always invited to these places. We're invited. No, you can tell them, Gus, yourself, isn't that right? And only that Pat Mitchell said no bags allowed on that stage. I have the invitations up here to show, just in case.
Gus and Eileen.
Gus and Eileen Ward invited. Oh, several places. The Enterprise Board was the last one. And do you know who got it? Una, put it in her bag and never showed it to us. Because they went and Gus and myself were left sitting at home.
Right, well, as long as it doesn't go too far, Eileen.
Well, it'll be grand. You never know how it'll work out yet.
Right, well, he's going to be even a bigger personality after tonight, so isn't it great that you'd be able to say,
yes.
You know, I'll Gus and myself, we were honoured there the other night.
Oh, he was directing us all the years down, Tommy, keeping us out. Well, no, I can't say half the night, the whole of the night. 8 o'clock in the morning, we'd arrive home. But I suppose we were a bit younger that time, we were well able to cope in the morning. But It reminds me of the other night John B was on a chat show with Brendan Kennelly, and they were talking, John B was telling about this fella was out one night in the pub, and as in John B's words, he had a good big feed of drink. And at the end of the night anyway, he went to the grocery, and he asked the woman behind the counter for a pound of sausages and a ring of that black pudding over there, ma'am. So she passed up and says, no, Johnny, that can be just grand for the breakfast in the morning. He says, "Big God, ma'am, I'll eat that tonight because I might be too sick to eat it in the morning." We were often very sick in the morning. I don't think we could do it now, Gus. So you see, they had to take him out and put Killian McGuinness in now.
There we are.
So you could have put a bit of order on the place.
Well, Eileen, congratulations to you for being an All-Ireland actress, of course, and you've entertained so many people on this stage and in stages all around Ireland. Big round of applause for Eileen Moran. Thank you all. Because one of the jobs that you took on here was the chairman of the park committee, and you did a tremendous amount of work when they were developing the new pitch. And some of the park committee who were with you at that time have come along tonight to thank you for your work. As the secretary of the committee at the time, Con Dolan, the vice chairman, Sean Doyle, you already met Mick Degnan, who was the treasurer, and John Mulligan, the PRO. We have Con Dolan and John Mulligan. Alright, Sean Doyle isn't able to be here, but I know, Con, that you'll say something, or John, on behalf of the committee there. You remember all the work that you did?
I do, yes. I not sure that I grew up with Gus in Carrigallen, but I've known Gus a long time from growing up in Carrigallen. He has been involved in many of the committees down the years for the betterment of life in Carrigallen. Anyone will recognise Gus at a meeting. He'll be sitting back a little bit like he is tonight, legs crossed, waiting to interject to make his point and argue his opinion, pen and pocket diary in hand, raise the other hand, throw the chair, and Gus will make his opinion. I worked as secretary of the park committee with Gus in the early 1980s. It was a very, very busy time for the committee with fundraising, the opening of our new football facilities here, which has been of great benefit to the parish down the years. And Gus was instrumental in the successful completion of that. In addition, we brought out a centenary booklet to celebrate the centenary of the GAA in 1984. Gus also was heavily involved in that. Tommy, you'll remember that as well, you were the editor of it. So I'd just like to be associated with everyone here tonight and congratulating Gus and wishing him well.
Thank you very much, Tom. Being the local sergeant here, I suppose you never had to book him.
Well, you could say he never broke the law, but he might have been for a rule or two here and there along the way. I remember in the GAA scene about 10 years ago, an under-21 game when Carrigallen were playing some other team out in Clown. And Gus was on the line, myself and Gus had come there together more or less, maybe in different cars, but we were there quite close to each other. The referee had only 3 umpires and I was brought in. It was a wild day and I was given white gear to wear. Nobody had recognised me or anything, and I went up to one end. And this high ball came in and the wind took it at the last minute. It looked certain to go over, but the wind took it at the last minute. And next thing I could hear was, "Umpire, are you blind?" On the side there. So of course, after the game, it was only after the game that he discovered I was the umpire.
But he didn't cause any serious trouble on you since his arrival?
Not at all. He may have bent the rule, about abusing a match official, that sort of thing. But he didn't. It was only a bit.
Oh, you never found him on in the premises after hours, right?
Oh, not at all. So that wouldn't happen at all.
Thank you very much, Con and Sergeant. started to mention the football there, Gus, and you mentioned the under-21s, but you were also chairman of the juvenile committee here in Carrigallen. We have the secretary, Greta O'Neill, I'd like to say hello to you, and also the club officials, Jerome Maguire, the chairman, who is also involved with you in the drama, Pat Mitchell, the secretary, who has done tremendous work here, the chairman of the festival committee and responsible for organising this function here tonight, and the treasurer of the club, Charlie Ward. So we have Greta O'Neill, Jerome Maguire, Pat Mitchell and Charlie Ward. Pat, you only get to talk on behalf of the club. Jerome, maybe you're the chairman.
We'll let Pat
I'll let Pat have a word
say
there.
something on behalf of
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, Reverend Fathers, ladies and gentlemen. I'd just like to take this opportunity of wishing Gus all the best in the rest of his career. He's been an obvious choice for tonight's celebrity. I've known Gus for a great number of years, going back the years when Jamila Markin Firma was in high membership, going back 10 or 11 years ago, and the committee at that time decided that we'd have a go at one of the events in it in drama, and obviously Gus was the choice to help and produce the show, and that he did, and he spent a long winter coaching a lot of green people that had no clue of drama, and persisted with us, and we travelled to the All-Ireland semi-finals and were beaten on technicality of being a few minutes late and points were docked, and obviously we were beaten and Gus was very disappointed, but it was the start of a career of a lot of the people that are present at the forefront in the Carrigallen Cornwall Theatre, and we're delighted that we have been able to bring those people through, and obviously Gus has been the man that has done it, but it was the start of a lot of the people that are on stage here today. Gus has been obviously very helpful in the GAA field and all the score competitions. He's been to the forefront and has won two, again from what maybe has to come later, but he's been very, shall we say, has won a lot of titles in score, and again has coached and helped the juveniles and the seniors, and we're appreciative of that. At the end of the day, Gus deserves tonight, and I'm sure he'll enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
I just want to say that Gus was, I don't know whether many people know this, but he was at the beginning and at the end of my acting career. It was back in 1966, I think it was Rabbits and Raincoats, and I had one line to say, so I had been rehearsing this line for weeks and weeks and weeks, and when it came to the night, Gus didn't give me the bloody cue and I never said the line. So that was the beginning and the end of my acting career. So over the years then, after that I decided that I joined the backstage crew, and I had done sound effects and enjoyed many's a night with the community players that were known that time, and I was there when we won the rule of the confined section in Loughrea in 1973. So at least I have an All-Ireland. I know it's not an Ulster one, but it is still an All-Ireland. So I want to wish Gus and everyone many, many happy years and thoroughly enjoy your night. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. The man in charge of the money in the club.
As well as being involved with the football club, I've had the honour of being involved with the Cornwall Theatre here for the last 5 or 6 years, and during that time I have worked with Gus on the committees, and I would like to take this opportunity to compliment Gus on the professionalism, enthusiasm and sincerity with which he approaches everything he does. I know that's true of his work life as well as his involvement in drama and golf and other things that he does. He's very much deserving of this accolade tonight, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to wish him well and express my appreciation of having the pleasure of working with him on the committee of the theatre.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Thank you. Well, Gus, your life's intertwined with many people in various activities and various committees and so on, and you often heard the recitation before Farrelly's, given by Maura. Well, we're delighted we have two of the Farrellys here tonight anyway, Cathal Farrelly and his sister Maura Farrelly McGuinness. that passionate, Cahill, now. Take it easy. Now, Cahill, into the microphone.
Yes. Well, I know Gus on many, many levels, both at work and on the stage. When Pat Mitchell told me 2 hours ago that it was needed to say something, I was caught on the hop and I said, what the hell am I going to say? Rosemary told me to tell the truth. Well, if I do that, we won't be speaking for a while. But I just cast back and I remember arriving on our street and with the Volkswagen car and the Hurley in the boot, and I went into the cowboy and it needed a lot of renovation now. It was a good job for us to get specifications out and do the necessary, but he must have overdone it. He was sitting on a 3-legged stool, and the group, I think, had to be steel floated, and I think there was brass cow tines and everything else, but Daisy mustn't have liked it. She lifted her tail. I've never seen Gus leave a cowboy as quick before. But anyway, the next thought that came to my mind was when I just first met Una. And Gus has been blamed all night about how he used to groom his hair. Well, Gus was playing a part up in Killadoon Hall, and this lady came along, and I didn't know who she was in the makeup area. And Gus was supposed to have a kind of a rougher sort of part than he'd normally play, and the hair was supposed to be dishevelled and everything. And here she was grooming him, and putting this neat parting in the centre of the head. But I think, Una, it's the example you give at the start that causes all the problems. I'm working on it myself at the moment, and if you had to do it right at the start, he wouldn't be grooming his hair. But the other thing that you mentioned, Una, was about these short notes. Remember when he was in hospital, and you got one every day? Well, I know all about it. Because in our house, Gus, for some may not know, was my boss for a number of years. And I wouldn't mind, but the department don't seem to have small envelopes, but they're big, wide envelopes. And there's these little notes inside, but daily this came to our door, and the postman, he nearly wasn't, I got a new post box and he wasn't able to fit them all in. But anyway, to tell you the truth, Gus got promotion in the department. And the other day the postman came to me and he says, did you lose your job in the department? No. Why? Well, you're getting no letters for the last month. But there was another story I heard, and I don't know whether it relates to Gus, but it said, the fella that said it, he said it was a Carrigallen man. Well, it was out in Nahavas, there was these two guys. One of them was a department man and another guy. They were out shooting. And there was a downpour like it was last night here. Poured cats and drakes. And they ran to the nearest shed. And there was a fine big shed. And they were in taking cover, and this farmer landed in, and the department fellow was looking at this fine shed, and he says, God, you have a fine shed here. Yeah. Did you get a grant? No. And why not? Well, the fellow from Carrigallen wouldn't pass it. And what was wrong with it? He said I'd have to put a bit of paint on the uprights. God, he says there wasn't much problem to put a bit of paint on the uprights if it meant getting a grant. Well, there'd be a hell of a job putting paint on the uprights, he says, when the bloody shed was full of hay. But then before I finish, I just would like to say, like, over the years, I've worked a lot with Gus and Una and his family. Gus has been a cornerstone. He'll always keep things right, and if anything goes astray, he's a great man to work with in any committee, and he deserves the accolades he's getting tonight.
Thank you very much, Tommy. Maura, not a bad little act with yourself.
Thanks, Tommy. Well, a lot of the things have been said about Gus tonight. First of all, I'd like to say that as chairperson of the Cornwall, I would like to thank Gus. I'm delighted that he's been honoured tonight, because he has been the vice chairman for the last 3 years, and indeed Una has been the secretary, and they have done invaluable work, and without them I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the work as chairperson. Now, earlier on in the night I heard Joe talking about all these shows that they put on below in Clare when Gus was a young lad, and how they daren't make any mistakes. Well, I remember a couple of years ago down in Clare, I'm sorry, Gus, now to have to remind you this, but we went to a one-act drama festival down in Clare, and we were doing 2 festivals, one in Corofin and the following night out in Dunbeg. Well, anyway, the one went grand in Corofin, and we were talking afterwards and having the crack. There were 2 groups down, and we were talking about getting a dry, you know. Yeah, this is Gus, if you know your line till you get no dry. And I said, it could happen. He said, not at all, it doesn't happen. It never happened to me. So the next night, anyway, we were out in Dundbeck, right out on the coast, far out as you could go. And we were doing a one-act play of Brendan McCann's, and Gus was acting opposite me. And halfway through it, he was about to toss a coin. And there was no coin being tossed. And Gus had a dry. He kept us entertained, Gus, the whole way from Doonbeg up to Ballymahan. The whole carload of us. We laughed several times and we were entertained very much by that. So, man is human.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Laura and Colin. Thank you. And Gus, somebody who has worked with you and another perfectionist in his own way. He looks after the music for the Carrigallen players, the community players, the Homebird players for a long number of years and has been involved in all the All-Ireland successes. That's Eamon Daly, and he's joined by another friend of yours who's probably better known for his live music as Paddy McDermott. Eamon Daly and Paddy McDermott. Well, Eamon, many memory, I'm sure, about Gus.
Well, when I joined the group first in 1974 after Jerome Maguire had left, my speciality was supposed to be music and sound effects. I knew Gus first as an actor, and later when Gus became a producer, he did confide in me one night that one of his biggest regrets was that he couldn't sit in an audience and watch himself acting. And I think the same thing was said about Keane McGuinness this year when he took up direction as well, and even Cathal Farley. So it must be a kind of a peculiar condition of producers who change from being actors. Although I must say, knowing Cathal as well as I do, that Cathal could sit in an audience. He hasn't good eyesight, but he could sit in an audience and he could watch himself and he wouldn't see himself either. So, that's the problem. But anyway, Gus, I must say, was he was a great comforter. He was very inspirational to me in the little role that I had to do in the group. The one request he had, he could let me go ahead with whatever bit of music I wanted to play and so on. He might correct me now and again. But the one requirement he had every year was that he wanted a dog barking. Had to be a dog barking in the group, and even if the play was written and it didn't have a dog barking, and Gus would say, put a few dogs barking in there. So I thought he was harking back to his days in Clare and missing the farm in Clare and that sort of thing. But it became a speciality of the group, and there were people who used to come to drama festivals and they wouldn't have bought a programme and they wouldn't know who was on, but once they hear the dog barking, they say, because that's Carrigallen. So it became a kind of a trademark, a kind of an audio logo of the group. But now and again, Gus would want a particular kind of dog bark, and it wouldn't be a dog bark, it would be kind of a whine. And as it got on towards 1992, 93, 94, it always had to be a kind of a whine, and he used to go, you, this sort of thing. And I found it very hard to get this sound, but when Clare won the All-Ireland in 1995, the following morning I heard the famous Clare shout, and that was it. It was, ooh! But just finally, I must say that Gus was a great comforter, and now and again, even the little bit that I had to do with the group, you get slated for it. In fact, very, very seldom would you get, kind of a compliment at all, or a comment, never mind a compliment, unless you did something wrong. And Gus would always kind of invite from the adjudicator comments on, how was the sound or music like, and how was the makeup like, or how was the costumes like, some of the minor roles in the group. But in one particular production in Lahore, it was Gus's first production as director of the Playboy, and the adjudicator said that we had a case of sound effects gone mad. In the first act, we had this play set in the primitive part of the west of Ireland, no transport of any kind in it, and here we had the case of sound effects going mad with a fire brigade going up through the set, or the sound fire brigade, and of course it was the Lahore fire brigade outside that was going on. And then the second set, he said, we had a lovely sunlit scene with girls coming with the presents and so on, and here we had sound effects of rain falling, and it was actually rain falling on the roof, so it was very dispirited, and Gus was a great comforter afterwards. I felt like leaving the group after that, but Gus persuaded me to stay. In fact, Tommy, I think, you got a kind of a negative comment that night as well. You were the playboy. And I remember the adjudicator saying that you were too shy and too reserved for the part.
Thank you very much.
So when I heard him saying that, I knew was that he knew nothing about sound, but he didn't know anything about character either.
Thank you very
Thanks very much. I'd like to thank Gus for all the encouragement he has given me over the years, and he's a great motivator, a great creator, and a great producer. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Gus and Una for all the good work they've done around Carrigallen. They also have helped us quite a bit over in Cornafane, and they've been very helpful to me in the running of score. Once you got Gus and Una to agree to come to adjudicate, you might know that they'll be there, that it will be done well, and you could take Gus loose with the hectares. He was able to stand his corner. Once he made his mind up, whether it was right or wrong, he was going to stick to it anyway. The other thing about the sound effects, one sound effect, my first introduction to Gus was in the Shockron as well. Some people referred to it earlier on. One sound effect that Ian didn't have to do was a part of the wake scene where Francie Murray was supposed to play the tin whistle. And I was off stage playing the tin whistle, and Francie was working it like that. And then I was in the pub later on that night, and these two fellas were saying, "Well, damn, you never knew Francie Murray could play the tin whistle." The Shockron, another memory from the Shockron was we were up in Sharkcock. We had a great night, but we hadn't a good night in the drama. And Gus was waiting for Aidan Hart to come in through the door. He was standing like this, you see. Aidan came in through the rocks, and all you could do was see Gus's arm sticking up in there. He started to laugh, and I don't think Father Young was amused. The other great memory from the play, this doesn't refer to you, to Gus, but to yourself, Tommy, was in the Honey Spike. We went up to the hospital with Maura, she was expecting.
Don't blame me for that one. Well, that was in the play now.
That was the play.
I think Laura remembers the spin on the trap.
But there was occasions, you see, where you had to go and ring the bell, and we had done the play that often that the people that were doing the props and that had forgotten. They were chatting in the back room, and there was no one there to ring the bell. I think it was Elizabeth McLean was supposed to ring it. So anyway, you rang the bell, and nothing happened. And you said, "Blast you for an old whore of a bell, will you not ring?" I also like finally to thank Gus for all the times that he has helped me out, and he's a real gentleman, and so was his, I was going to say so was his wife. Good luck.
Thank you, Paddy. And then Paddy mentioned score there, Gus, and it's worth mentioning tonight, just for the record, that you had the distinction of winning the All-Ireland novelty acting score. Of course, Killian carried you in that. It was a two-man show. I think Killian really did the acting in that one, but also for the recitation. It's very unusual for someone to win two different categories in score at the All-Ireland, but Gus did that. So well done, Gus, on that. Well, earlier on we had Tom Gannon, the president of Ballinamore Golf Club, complimenting you for your work there, but we have two of your fellow golfers who have come along tonight. Third and fourth, Michael and Breach Solomon would like to be here, but they're gone away on holidays. However, we have two fellow golfers, John Lockhart and Martin Kieran. I think John Lockhart had to go into the 19th green. He'll be meeting you tomorrow. Martin, it's not the fastest game in the world when you're playing with Gus.
Not exactly. No, Gus, I know Gus for a long time now, since he came to Carrigallen. This very athletic looking man came to Carrigallen. And the local football club, of course, were very interested to know, could he play football? They had about 7 or 8 mentors then. But the inside information they had was that Gus he played hurling, minor hurling for Clare. And he had been on the team for about 5 years. I don't think they bothered with birth certificates at that time. So I later knew him as a farm buildings officer, a very good inspector, did a good job, got good work done by encouragement and advice rather than the strong arm. And I think if you had a crooked corner in the building, he would be sure to find it. Later I knew him as a golfer, a very good golfer, sometimes. But he certainly was a great asset to the club and very generous with his time, his talent, and when it came to fundraising, you didn't have to ask him twice to give a recitation. And honestly, I don't know how he tolerated us. Every time he was asked to give a recitation, somebody said, you know, to the same old one, wasn't it, Shomra? But anyway, Gus, I'll make it short. I am delighted to be here tonight, and we are very proud of you and what you have done for Carrigallen and how much pleasure you have given us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Earlier on, Pat Mitchell mentioned Dromeeda, and we're delighted that so many people from the Dromeeda area played important roles in the drama here. None more so, I suppose, than Ronan O'Brien, and I understand she's been joined by Vincent Murray, another man who took part. Vincent is there, yes. Ronan O'Brien and Vincent Murray, the neighbours from Dromeeda. I think Ronan is in the audience now, isn't he? I know, Vincent, you're very, very shy, but you'll have a quick word. Go over there to the microphone there.
There's nothing left for me to say. I doubt it. What do you want to say, Ronan? No, Gus had a very important role. He always said, don't drink, not drive, but don't drink and be on the stage.
And you obeyed
Gus. We're headed for Sherlock. First Father Patsy, is he here? Of course, lo and behold, we got caught up in Coot Hill. No fault of mine. Somebody was 21 and we headed to the pub. And Jesus, it was a lot of drink involved. We met Gus afterwards, on the outside, was it? And Gus said to me, he said, how many pints are doing you tonight? He said, it's a very good performance. All I could think of saying, well, 10 or 12, and that was just a very local guess. You know? He said, the best performance you put on, he says, this year. We're after losing, but they're close or something. So I had that Cathal Farley anyway for it. Chris Dorkin's 21st birthday was on, that's right, is that right?
You can talk to Cathal after, will you talk to him?
So that was the moral of the story. The guard said don't drink and drive, but I was told not to drink and act. That's the way it went anyway, so I hand you over the Ronan.
Fair play to you, Vincent. Thank you. Ronan.
I say, the only thing is I remember years ago going into town and seeing Gus and Una coming into Hearts. I used to say, God, they're very stuck up looking pair. Very classy looking, everything matching, jewellery hanging out of the ears, around the neck, everything. But you can't judge the book by the cover. They're a lovely pair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have two other ladies to meet you, Gus. One who you remember to play Them, and she played a great part in Them. That's Mary McGee, Mary Flynn, and from the makeup department, and her late husband was an early producer here at the Carrigallen Players, Elizabeth McLean. Mary McGee and Elizabeth McLean.
Everything had to reach perfection. That's the one thing I remember. And I always remember if one was on stage with Gus, one never had to worry about words. I'm very glad to be associated with this presentation, and I wish Gus and Una the very best in the future.
Thank you very much, Ian. I don't suppose any woman ever did him up as often as yourself.
Nobody, no, that's true. I'm 25 years with the drama in Carrigallen, and I'm very pleased to be associated with this do tonight, and wish Una and Gus every success.
Would you notice the face getting older in the last 20 years?
Maybe he doesn't need as many lines now as he did 20 years ago. 20 years ago you had a lot of work to do, but we're all getting that way, I think, now. So thank you very much.
And thank you for your work, and thanks for coming tonight. Well, we're drawing near a close, Gus, but before we finish, we'd like to meet some of your neighbours here. Sean and Mary Nash and Lyndon and Monica Johnston would like just to say a word on behalf of all your neighbours in Carrigallen. And Sean and Mary Nash, I understand Lyndon and Monica are in the, here they are, they're in the audience now. Don't be shy, Monica. Tell me this now, there's great bit of kissing among the neighbours. Does this normally go on? Does this go on every time they meet each other? Sean?
Not really.
What is he like as a neighbour up there?
Good neighbour.
So he's never there. My brother is a great neighbour.
Quiet neighbour.
A quiet neighbour.
Yeah. You never hear nothing really. Not till like Claire gets going, you know, and gets on near winning or getting out at Munster or that. Then the crack starts. Starts then to write a bit of a song. That's not so bad. When he starts then to rehearse the singing, that's when the children can't sleep at night. All I hear at home whenever, I wish Claire were Betsy. No, he's a great neighbour.
Well, Lyndon, would you like to say a word about him, or Monica? Lyndon, I understand you look after the car for him.
Someone has to. No, you couldn't have a better neighbour than Gus Ward. And what I said earlier about him was he definitely is a born gentleman. And I've been on stage with him on many occasions in the past. And you couldn't work for a better man.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Lyndon and Monica. Thank you. Well, Gus, whatever about you being a quiet neighbour, your first neighbours in Carrigallen were certainly quiet. They were all in the graveyard and everything. But you had one neighbour that used to be, he was able to walk in and see you very often, and he did a lot of babysitting for you, and he's delighted to be here tonight. That's Jerry Murray. And I know, Jerry, that you used to say when you were a Gosling, you used to say to Una, I'd love to marry a woman like you. Is that right?
That's right, Shirley. She couldn't blame me, could you?
I understand you used to babysit Una at once, did you?
I did, and babysit Gus as well. I can remember one instance when Una went into hospital, I think, and the kids were easy enough to manage, but Gus was the biggest problem. I never seen a man as lonesome for any woman in all my life. I could never get him to sleep. He'd be up in the middle of the night prancing around the floor, and he'd call maybe and see was I asleep. I can't sleep with the hole, he'd say. And he'd have an electric blanket on and he'd have about 10 hot water bags. I still couldn't sleep. But anyway, Tommy, I'm honoured to be here tonight to pay tribute to Una and Gus, because they were very special neighbours and very special friends, and they were awfully good to me. I had to move into a nice bungalow back. I suppose it was late 60s or early 70s, and at that time there was no water scheme, and there was a bad supply of water, and there was a lot of talk tonight about Gus being so particular, and he used a lot of water, but my first job anyway was to draw water. It was a sort of a hot year. And I'd draw up the water, and I'd be sitting on the wall there, and I'd be kicking my feet, and I'd be pumping and pumping, and me knowing while Gus was inside, plashing around me. They were great neighbours, and I'm privileged to be here tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. Very much. Well, of course, when you waited at the theatre tonight, and I was speaking to you last night, and you were figuring out what you were going to say about who you thought was the guest of honour, as a local businessman, a member of the community players for many, many years, a local politician, and recently elected as the chairman of Leitrim County Council, the man you thought was the subject of this your life, Mr. Tommy Moran and his wife, Mary. They're in the audience. Tommy, can you come on stage, please? Yes. Tommy and Mary Moran. I know that as chairman of the county council he's summoned to all sorts of functions now and is expected to represent the council there, but he still took time off tonight, Gus, to be here with you. Tommy and Mary Moran. I suppose, Tommy, what most people remember about you in the drama is in the field, where you were the bull's son. You remember that, and down in 3 Mile House?
Yes, I was Tyke.
Tyke?
Tyke, yeah. That was the time. That's the only medal, in fact. I mentioned that recently. That's the only medal I ever got, you know, for acting as Tyke in the field. And now I can't remember the lady adjudicator's name, but I was very chuffed with myself getting this medal. But then somebody confided in me afterwards that really we got a lot of medals that night. And the reason was that the adjudicator had a notion of Gus. So that's my medal.
This was a female adjudicator?
A female adjudicator. Very, very, very much so.
We have to be careful about that after Alfie Hart sleeping with him.
Well, I think they explained it was a lady adjudicator. They were probably listening.
Tommy, thank you. Congratulations, first of all, on being elected as chairman of the county council. It's going to be a busy year for you, and on behalf of everybody here, we wish you and Mary every success. You're going to be very busy time.
And I just want to finish off by wishing Gus and Una all the best, and congratulations. It's a very, very well-deserved tribute to both of them tonight.
Thank you, Tom. And I'd like to thank Tommy and Mary because it was explained to them that they were to come early tonight to sit in the audience so that when Gus came we'd see them here and feel that yes, this is it, it is Tommy Moran is the man for tonight. So they've been sitting here since before 8 o'clock. Thank you since before 7:30. Thank you very much, Tommy and Mary. Thank you. And another lady like Gus would like to say hello to you. She's well known in the Carrigallen area because she's a great supporter of the drama here, has been at all the drama festivals. That's her sister-in-law, Tommy Moran, and she remembers all these letters you used to write. There's Tommy out there. Oh, she's in the audience, I understand. Hope that she's been enjoying herself tonight. Oh, here she is. Here's Koch. The dramatic entry. If we go to the other microphone there and you pick you up on the video, Koch. Do you remember these love letters that Gus used to write on the notebook?
No, I don't remember the love letters, but I do remember I was there on that fateful night
in Granada. So how come he didn't pick you?
Well, I just wondered. I always wondered that, mind you. But he was, you know, in the Granada in those days, you know, the men were one side and the women were the other side, so, and the men made a big rush for the women and grabbed, but not Gus, no. It took at least, I'd say, 2 hours of the whole night to make up his mind whether he would...
No, he was waiting for the women to come to him.
Now that I know him, yes, I would agree with you. But anyway, I began to think that there was a big barrier or something in the middle of the floor because Gus prayed up and down and up and down. And I said to him, just there's one over there, I said, you know, he's having wide difficulty making it across the floor. But now that I know him, I would say, yes, he takes his time about everything. And I said, do you reckon he'll make it before the night's out? Well, yeah, second last dance. But I would also like to say thanks to Gus because I treat Carrigallen as my second home. I never have to make a phone call to say I'm coming down, just to make sure they're there. And when people ask me where do I live, I say part-time home, part-time Carrigallen. So, here.
Thank you very much, Colin. Thank you. before we finish tonight, Gus, we have a message from the Clare County Board from the Secretary Pat Fitzgerald, the father of the goalkeeper. That he just, on behalf of the team of the County Board, he extends good wishes to you and Gus, to you and Una, and thank you very much for your support of the banner. We also have a message from Pappy Cahill, your former teacher at Willbrook National School, as the father of Des Cahill, and he would like to think that he inspired you in some way towards drama way back in 1957 in Scariff, when you helped out with the costumes and props. That's when Joe, Mary and Anne won the Taoiseach's Cup as the best Irish play. So very good wishes there from your former teacher, and he has very pleasant memories of you as a young boy in going to school down there in Millbrook. And finally, Gus, we have one more guest, or two more guests to meet, and we've kept them waiting all night because they're very, very special friends of yours. The gentleman lived with you in Hearts many, many years ago. On the night before you were engaged, yourself and Una stayed in their house. He worked with you in Naas. He's been sitting here out in the hall there all night waiting to say hello to you. And we're closing the night with your very good friends, Adrian and Maura McManus. Well, Adrian, you have many memories of us, and I suppose maybe the engagement is something we didn't hear much about. How did it go at that time?
Well, Tommy, there's things I'd like to say in public and there's things that I wouldn't like to say in public, so I won't say an awful lot about it. But I'll have to say that I shared a room with Gus and with Alfie Hart long before Una did, way back in the past. And the thing that comes to my mind, you couldn't call it a room really, it was more like a nightclub, because there was very little activity during the day. Everybody was kind of quiet, and some people said that they'd be in bed and things like that. I don't know why they used to say that, but at night it used to get very lively, and it was people in and out to that room at all sorts of stages. As a matter of fact, at that time in Hearts there used to be fishermen staying there. And Gus would be out very late and he'd be creeping in up the stairs in the morning, and the fishermen used to be up very early because they'd be catching worms and getting early fishing, and they'd meet him coming down the stairs. and one of the fishermen, I remember meeting him one morning, he says, blimey, he says, that poor chap, he seems to be on a night shift the whole time. I remember then the one and only time, I think, that I ever shared a stage with Gus. It was the last time I was ever on a stage until tonight. But Gus was there, and it was, I think, Father Young was in charge at the time, and he decided it was 1966. And we decided anyway that we'd have a pageant in honour of the 50th anniversary of the 1960 Rising. And somebody came up with the brainwave that all the young men, maybe you were there yourself, Tommy, I forget, all the young men of Carrigallen would lie down on the stage, flat out, and get a few double-barrel guns and throw them over them, and get a few bandages and throw it around the stage. And Gus then, being the fall guy, had to come in, and he had to sing The Dying Rebel, the song My Only Son Got Shot in Dublin, and the first I saw was a grey-haired father. And he had to step across the bodies and sing this song as he walked along the stage. So, damn it, the theory was good, and it was supposed to be a very solemn occasion in memory of it in 1960. But the practice went a bit wrong. The curtains went up, and Aidan Hart was lying across the stage in double barrel thrown over him, and Alfie Hart was lying down sideways, and Tommy McCartney, I remember, was lying beside me on the stage. And suddenly the audience looked and they saw all their friends and relatives and sons and lying flat out on the stage, and they thought this was the funniest thing. And they went into ripples of laughter all over the stage. And Gus took a deep breath and he sort of walked out on the stage and he started singing My Only Son Got Shot in Dublin, and he sang away in a sort of a slightly strained voice, and the audience, you could get the roll of sort of mirth coming up the whole way up to the stage, and everybody lying flat. And then Alfie Hart got to pull the short straw. He was lying down and he had to sit up on one elbow at one stage, and he had to chime in, God bless the cause for which I died. So he did that, and when that happened anyway, the crowd started rolling in the aisles at this stage. And next thing, some wag comes up and he says, he says, I think poor old Gus and Alfie must have got shot in the throat. Anyhow, he was a true professional. He followed right through to the end, and he finished the song. And the only thing, he got a bit contrary after it. He says, I wish one of them old double barrels was loaded, and I'd quiet. But I'm very happy, Moran and myself, very happy to be associated with the night. He has been a long time, very good friend of mine over many years, and he has said all that there was to say, and all I can do is to say I totally agree with the fact that a complete and utter gentleman. And as a matter of fact, even in that room where we were in the past, when I had one bad pair of shoes and Alfie had one slightly better pair of shoes, Gus always had 3 pairs of shoes. And if you want to get the loan of them, there was no problem, because they were always nice and polished and clean, and he'd always give them. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, Gus, I don't think there was anything else we can say. We would have brought many more people on stage. Joe was.
Tommy, can I interrupt you?
You can.
Excuse me for a moment. I know this is Gus's night, and all our family are very proud of his achievements. I'd just like to say that behind every play group or drama group is a good producer. Behind every good team, there's a good team manager. Behind every man who achieves anything, there's a good woman. I would like to pay a compliment to Una tonight for all the support she's given to Gus, all the encouragement, and for being there with him all through the years. I'm sure there are times when she wished that drama didn't exist, but she has been always there with him, and I think Una deserves a very special round of applause tonight. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the night, Gus, and I suppose all that's left to say is, Gus Ward, this is your life. Anyway, we'll take your seats for a moment, please. I think Gus wants, Pat Mitchell, I think, wants to say something, but we'll allow Gus to say something first.
Well, good night, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing I want to say is that I didn't really think that this could happen to me and that I wouldn't know it was going to happen. It never dawned on me, and I know I've heard people say this before, and this evening I want to thank Tommy, who obviously put it all together, as only he can do. And I didn't think Una could deceive me to the extent that she did. I don't know how she... there wasn't much mention about it at all. She did ask me, who it was I was going to tell her, because last year I was sworn to secrecy, and I got a bit of stick when she discovered that I knew it all week and hadn't told her. I don't want to go on, I suppose. I want to thank everybody for the compliments. Most of them were dreamed up. I wasn't conscious that I comb the hair as often as I do, obviously. But it must be true if everybody says so. I'm sure there are several other things that I feel tomorrow that I should have said, that I can't just think of now. But I want to thank everybody, thank the audience as well for being so responsive and so good. And I suppose I could say that I have enjoyed and I have been honoured to have lived in Carrigallen for all these years. It was a great community to come into. Somebody said there that if you arrived at a hurry you'd be picked on the county team. I think any stranger coming into Carrigallen, walking into a meeting, would be likely to be proposed for a job on a committee. That's a very open community, obviously. I don't think it would happen everywhere. I suppose I could have left, we could have left Carrigallen because since I moved to Cavan in '89, neither Una or myself have worked in Leitrim. We've both worked in Cavan, but it never arose, never a thought of leaving Carrigallen, and I certainly have no intentions to do so when I retire either. This is my home now, much and all as I am a Clare man, and I am a Clare man to the backbone, but I'm a Carrigallen and Leitrim man as well, I hope. And thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Gus. I think Pat Mitchell, the chairman of the festival committee here, wants to say a word.
Reverend Fathers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd just like to thank you all for being such a wonderful audience, and I'm sure you've enjoyed the show immensely. Gus was a very good personality to choose here tonight. As everyone has commented about Gus, there's no more to be said. I was delighted to be able to select Gus, and I hope he has enjoyed the night and will continue to enjoy it. I'd like to thank especially his family, and obviously his wife Una. Una has been aware of this in the last 3 weeks, and you can appreciate that the pressure that was on her to contact her family members and Gus's and her friends was immense, and she did it quietly, and you can realise that there'll be a lot of gossip around town as to who the said personality might be, but she never wilted at one stage, and she was often, I'd say, harassed by certain individuals that would have a fair go, but she didn't wilt and she kept it a secret, and we're delighted for that because it would spoil the effect of this evening if the word got out, and it didn't get out. I'm very confident of that, but I know some people might have thought they knew, but they picked the wrong man. I'd just like to make a small presentation here to Una. It's only just a bouquet of flowers, and I'd ask Eddie Moore, please, if she would just make the presentation to Una. Thank you. We just have a small presentation also to make to Gus and Una. It's a piece of bog oak. It has been carved in Drumlish by Brian Cullen, I think the man's name is. So I'd ask Charlie Ward, treasurer of the Cornwall Theatre, who would make that presentation.
I just want to say thank you again for all these things. Just a couple of other people that I thought of there. Joe Kearse was a very old friend of mine, and Kathleen came all the way from Clare tonight. I want to mention them especially as well. And of course Adrian and Maura, very good friends of mine. But everybody that came, I mean, I shouldn't have mentioned any names at all, I suppose, but those are a couple that go back a long, long way, and I'm delighted to see them here, as I am to see you all here. Thanks again.
Obviously, it was an easy choice to select the MC of tonight, Tommy Moran, who did the job for us last year and again has done it this year to such excellence. We are indeed very grateful to Tommy for that, because it's not an easy job to put this together and to put it together in such taste that it's so enjoyable. The show has lasted approximately 3.5 hours, and I think everybody's enjoyed the show. Tommy is an extremely busy man, but always makes time to help out on a voluntary basis, and I am delighted to have been a past student of his, and he's been a good example to me, and I hope that we'll be friends forever. I'd like to make a small presentation to Tommy. Just before we close, Una would just like to say a few words, and just like to ask to take the microphone.
Thank you especially to Pat and to Tommy, who have given me great help over the last 3 weeks in organising this night tonight. Thank you to Joe for all his nice and kind words. And thank you very much for the lovely flowers, Eileen. Thanks, and thanks to all the audience for coming tonight. Thank you very much.
Well, again, just like to thank everybody associated with the show tonight. I'd like to thank Tony Farley and his wife who have been here making a video, and I know, Gus, that this will be presented to you and to members of your family so you can have it as a memento. We have a number of people working up in the lighting department and looking after the sound, and particular thanks to Josie Creamer from Ballinamore who came over to look after it tonight. Thanks to all the audience. It was a long show, but you're still there, so I suppose that's in appreciation of somebody like Gus Ward. If you didn't want to wait, you could have gone earlier on. You stayed for a long, long show. We do hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that it was a good finish to the festival. The festival, as I mentioned earlier on, these things don't happen. I've been involved in the festival in Ballinamore, and no matter what you want to organise, there's a tremendous amount of work in it. And you need people on the committee who are energetic and enthusiastic and really want to do a good job. And I think that you're very fortunate here in Carrigallen to have somebody like Pat Mitchell and his wife Yvonne and all the other members of the committee. Pat also does work in Newtown Gore, and he was the former Lord Mayor of Carrigallen. And you never know, Pat will want to watch himself next year, because he wouldn't be a bad subject for This Is Your Life. But I would like to thank him and his wife Yvonne and all the members of the committee, the festival committee here. You all know who they are, they're on the local brochure. It's great to have a festival in the town, and it brings plenty of visitors back, and everybody enjoys themselves. So thanks very much to all the committee. And on my own behalf, I'd like to thank all the guests who came here tonight. And it's very difficult to be waiting backstage, and you know, you're wondering, are you well down the list? It wasn't a matter like that. We're trying to put the show together, not to have it all drama and everything, to try and vary it, and I hope you appreciate that. And the fact that you might have been kept to last could be an honour in itself. So thanks very much to everybody, and you were all great, and you helped to make a marvellous show, and we hope that you'll enjoy a cup of tea or whatever with Gus and Una. I'm sure there's a cup of tea in the hall there, is there? I hope to God there is. And more for someone for a cup of tea. Thanks very much to everybody, and enjoy whatever hour or so is left of the festival. For Emil Mahabat and safe.
There's some people I'd like to thank personally, just before we close the night. I'd obviously like to thank the theatre for allowing us here to use their wonderful venue. It's a very suitable venue because we've got the hall behind us here, and we can sneak in the celebrities in behind without obviously the audience seeing it. So I'd just like to thank the chairperson, Maura Farley, for allowing us the use of it. I'd like to thank also Maura and Riley and Aileen, who helped us on the doors tonight. I'd like to thank Josie Creamer, Tony Farley, Frankie Green and Sean Donnelly, Margaret McManus, Claire McTiernan, my wife Yvonne, Charlie Ward, Jerome Maguire, who brought the family members from Arva here this evening to have them arriving just a little after 8 o'clock. I'd like to thank you for being a wonderful audience. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's the close of the festival. We have been very fortunate with the weather for the festival. It's worked to be a tremendous success. I'd like to thank all the officers who worked with all those people in the town and outside who attended the weekly meetings. Maybe there were some of them drawn out, but everybody worked and stuck together, and I hope that it has been a good festival for young and old. We hope that we will be able to continue with it again next year. I'd also like to thank our main sponsor, Jet Wash of Carrigallen, and Thermobuild of our main sponsors, and I'd like to thank all their associate sponsors. I think our sponsorship came into the region of £4,000. It's a mighty figure to achieve on sponsorship. Without that sponsorship, we wouldn't be able to conduct a festival, and I'm sure they will all be as generous again next year. I hope you've enjoyed the festival. Thanks for your attention, and good night.